Chapter 571. Dr. Kong almost died. Yes, yes. Let's eat dog meat. Dr. Kong perked up. Xiaoming's idea is still the best. Since the dog ate the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, let's eat the dog. It should have some effect, right? The rest of the Kong family felt that it made sense. So the Kong family quickly cooked the dog meat. The dog was really strong and the whole family ate it for an entire night before the dog meat was all gone. Everyone wanted to extend their lifespan, and while ensuring that Miracle Dr. Kong had enough to eat, the others all fought to eat as well. In the end, they had to force themselves to eat, waiting for a miracle to happen. However, their idea was good, but the actual result was sad. On the second day, other than everyone eating too much and shitting more than usual, there was no effect at all. The dog meat was basically wasted. Dr. Kang's heart ached. What an eventful time. Wasn't the Kong family's bad luck a little too much? His heart was bleeding. He had worked so hard to save up 400 million yuan, and now it was gone just like that. Grandpa, since the dog ate the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, he probably couldn't digest it completely, right? There might even be some pill of life extension and toxin cleansing in the dog poop. Why don't I try eating some dog poop? Kong Ming Ming's brain worked. Since the dog meat had no effect, he turned his attention to the dog poop. This. Dr. Kong heard Kong Ming Ming's words and felt that it made sense. There might really be some pill of life extension and toxin cleansing in the dog poop. If he let Kong Ming Ming eat it, Kong Ming Ming might just get lucky again. So Dr. Kong gritted his teeth and said, "I'll eat it. You already ate it last time. Let me try it this time." There wasn't a lot of dog poop, so everyone coveted it. However, since Dr. Kong had spoken, the descendants of the Kong family could only give this precious opportunity to eat dog poop to Dr. Kong. This time the dog poop was much smellier than usual. However, in order to prolong his life, Dr. Kong had no choice but to bite the bullet and eat it. He was almost suffocated to death by the smell of the dog poop. If he hadn't gritted his teeth and endured, he might have vomited it out. But this time Dr. Kong was disappointed again. Not only was he disappointed, but he almost lost his life. After eating the dog poop, he started to vomit and have diarrhea, but there was no detoxification. After 2 to 3 days, Dr. Kong was almost dehydrated. When the Kong family saw that things couldn't go on like this, they quickly sent Old Man Kong to the hospital. After a checkup, it was confirmed that he had food poisoning. The doctor said that if he had come 2 days later, the old man would have died. The Kangs were puzzled at first. How could they be poisoned by eating dog poop? But when Dr. Kong woke up, his words woke them up. The name of the pill was the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Naturally, it was for detoxification. What he ate was the poison excreted by dogs. Wouldn't that make him food poisoning? The Kangs tried 13 different methods, and in the end, Dr. Kong almost lost his life. Dr. Kong called for a family meeting on his sickbed, listing this incident as House Kang's top secret. No one was to mention it in the future. There was no other reason than that it was too embarrassing. If this were to be exposed, House Kong would be done for. For now, they should just stick to Kong Ming Ming's plan of hitting on girls. Starting with Guan Xin was the best option. If they could get the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, House Kong would be able to survive this crisis. Lin Yi looked at Pinliang's calm yet hazy eyes. He had a vague feeling that there was something wrong with him, but he couldn't figure out what Pinliang was planning. Intuition told Lin Yi that Pinliang would definitely take revenge, but he didn't know if the target would be House Chu or Jianghu. On the way back to school, Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo sat together. Kang Xiaobo didn't hide his joy at all. Pinliang, that little bastard, finally got his comeuppance. Let's see if he can still jump around after losing one of his kidneys. What's wrong with Tang Yin? Why didn't she come to school today? Do you have Xiaofan's phone number? Can you ask? Lin Yi was worried about Tang Yin. He hadn't seen her for a few days and he missed her. He didn't know why Tang Yin was avoiding him. Was there a misunderstanding? Oh, today. The slums are being demolished. They said that they're here to discuss the compensation. They want everyone to stay. Lu Xinwen took the day off and Tang Yin should be at home. Kang Xiaobo said. I see. Lin Yi nodded. Mrs. Tang had told him about this before, and he had also told them that after the demolition, he would pay some money for a retail house. Lin Yi was relieved after hearing Kang Xiaobo's reason. As long as Tang Yin was at home, nothing would happen. Boss, I need to tell you something. Yesterday, Zhou Ruoming's father came to my house. Kang Xiaobo told Lin Yi about what happened at the tea house, especially when Kang Xiaobo and Zhou Ruoming were scared when they heard Lin Yi's name. It made Kang Xiaobo very happy. Lin Yi only smiled faintly. Lin Yi didn't feel any sense of achievement to make these small people afraid of him. Only Kang Xiaobo would be this excited. Today was a big day in Shanty Town because a development company was going to renovate the Shanty Town. In fact, this was good news. The residents of Shanty Town were looking forward to living in a building. Of course, they also wanted to get a lot of compensation. It wasn't that no development company had the idea of Shanty Town before, but in the end they gave up because the development cost was too high. The development company was responsible for the compensation and relocation of the relocated residents. However, Shanty Town was different from the general old city reconstruction. Although the houses in Shanty Town were dilapidated, due to historical reasons, the area of each house was not small. In addition to the house, each house also had a bicycle shed, a warehouse and a straw shed. These all had housing certificates. When the demolition was carried out, they also had to pay compensation according to the area. In this way, in addition to the house, each house had a shed or warehouse that was a few hundred meters wide. How much would it cost to demolish them? Even if they gave 3 to 5 houses, it wouldn't be enough. In such a situation, which development company dared to develop it? Wouldn't it be a losing business? However, there was no other way. Shanty Town had historical reasons. It was originally a rural area, and later changed into a town. It wasn't until the end of 2000 years that it was connected to the city. Gradually, after more than 10 years of development, it became the main city area. In the past, when the cost of land was cheap, no development company was interested in this place. But later, the supporting facilities nearby were upgraded, and the housing prices rose. Now this place couldn't afford to be demolished. Chapter 572. Kill one to warn others. Tang Juqing could already stand up and walk a few steps with the help of a crutch. However, there seemed to be some problem with the nerves in his left leg. It wasn't very sensitive, so he walked with a limp and stayed at home. Today was a big day in the slums. Other than Tang Juqing, the mother and daughter came to the only square in the slums, which used to be the garbage dump. Later on, the city started a garbage removal project and set up a few temporary garbage dumps in the slums. Only then did they completely remove the garbage dump. Otherwise, the smell would be unbearable in the summer. After it was cleaned up, it became a place for the elderly to play chess and exercise. It was also an empty space for the kids to play. Today, it became a place for negotiations with the developers. Behind the empty space, between 2 trees, there was a sign. Welcome to Qibing Real Estate's renovation of the slums. Qibing sat in the back of the Audi Q7, and Zhong Fabai was the temporary driver. Jin Gubang sat in the front passenger seat, and beside Qibing was a middle-aged man. They couldn't tell who this middle-aged man was. He suddenly appeared next to Qibing early in the morning. Qibing didn't introduce him, and the middle-aged man didn't say much either. However, Fabai and Jin Gubang guessed that this man was Qibing's bodyguard. It was just that he wasn't here for the past few days. Behind the Audi Q7 was a black van with Zhong Fabai's underlings sitting in it. They were the thugs in charge of the negotiation. Their purpose was to teach those disobedient residents a lesson. The car stopped near the empty space, and Qibing saw the sign on the square with one glance. He felt very satisfied. It seemed that these people had been waiting for their relocation for a long time, and now that he had the initiative, he would be able to lower the price a bit more for them. Master Bing, these people seem to welcome you very much. Fabai said flatteringly, but in his mind, he was planning to divert the trouble. Humph, let's see if they still welcome you when you tell them the price later. Master Bing wasn't stupid. He knew that these people didn't know the price he was going to give them. They wouldn't welcome him when he told them the price. So what if they don't welcome me? They still have to demolish it. This is Master Bing's first project in Songshan. You can't let these unruly people ruin it. Zhong Fabai said. Naturally, we won't stop because of them. However, if these unruly people don't allow us to demolish it, it will be troublesome. Zhao Qibing looked at the people in the square and frowned. It's obvious that these people have discussed this beforehand. I'm afraid that the negotiation won't go smoothly. This will depend on your determination, Master Bing. Fabai smiled. Since Zihua Bro asked me to come here, I know what's going on. I do have some tricks up my sleeves, but Master Bing, you have to give me a limit. No matter how big the problem is, can I take responsibility? As long as we don't kill these people, we'll be fine, Master Bing said calmly. In Master Bing's eyes, the residents of the slums were like ants. He didn't believe that they could cause any trouble. With Master Bing here, things will be much easier. Fabai patted his chest and said, Master Bing, just watch. I'm the best at dealing with these unruly people. If it doesn't work, we'll just use the bulldozer and scare them to death. Yes, as long as they don't kill anyone, anything is fine. Master Bing nodded. But it's best if you kill one to warn the others. I'm afraid that I won't be able to suppress it if it causes too much of a commotion. But injuring or crippling one or two is still an accident, right? Understood. Fabai nodded. Master Bing, let's see if there are any troublemakers later. It'll be easier after we get rid of them. That's what I meant, but old Zhong, don't you think you have too few people? Looking at the slums in the square, Zhao Qibing felt that Fabai's men might not be able to intimidate these people. Of course, he wasn't afraid himself, but he was afraid that something might happen. That's why he asked his father for this master. Not to mention the hundreds of people in the square, even if there were more he would be fine. But it would be too much of a problem if he asked his bodyguards to deal with these people. Master Bing, these are just the workers who came with us. There's still the bulldozer and the trenching machine behind them. They'll be here soon. Fabai looked at his watch and said, they should be here soon. That's good, I'll leave it to you later. Zhao Qibing was relieved when he heard that Fabai still had men. Let's see who's not convinced later. We'll tear down their houses first. We should be more forceful from the start, or else these unruly people will take advantage of us. Fabai calculated in his heart. He'd tear down Tang Yun's house later, and it'd be best if they made a big commotion. If Tang Yun was hurt, Lin Yi wouldn't just stand by and do nothing, right? When the time came, he would push all the blame away and let Lin Yi take revenge on Master Bing. If Lin Yi went against Master Bing, wouldn't he be seeking death? Master Bing nodded and got out of the car. Accompanied by Fabai, Jin Gubong, and the bodyguard, they came to a temporary rostrum in the square and sat down. The residents of the slums quietened down as well. They stared at the people on the rostrum without blinking. These were people who could decide their fates. Their words were like gold. How could they not be careful? This is the chairman of our Qibing Real Estate Development Company, Zhao Qibing, Director Zhao. He's in charge of this slum's reconstruction. If you guys have any requests, you can tell us. We'll discuss the demolition plan. Fabai remembered Zhao Qibing's words. Kill one to warn 100. He had to find someone to establish his dominance, so he purposely said those words. He was waiting for someone who didn't care about their lives to ask for more. Then he'd teach them a lesson so that they wouldn't dare to ask for more. Fabai's words stunned the residents on the spot. Wasn't it always the developer who came and asked if they wanted to demolish the slums or not? Why was it a negotiation this time? Could it be that the developer this time had a conscience and was prepared to bring some benefits to the slums? So the residents started to think, but no one dared to step out first. After all, no one knew if the developer was telling the truth or not. Chapter 573. Kill one to warn others. They came to the slums early in the morning. Master Bing hadn't eaten yet and his stomach was growling. Fabai was attentive and stood beside Master Bing, so he heard the growling and found a chance to get on Master Bing's good side. Master Bing was hungry as well, so he nodded. Let's eat something first then. The slums residents, who had been waiting for a long time, were dumbfounded. Why did these big bosses just come and leave like that? They were waiting to talk about the price and now they were going to eat? What was the meaning of this? But they didn't dare to ask. They watched as Master Bing and the others left. Qibing and the others were about to get into the car to eat when he heard someone call his name. Master Bing, wait for me. Qibing turned around and froze. He recognized the person immediately. You're Li Erlin, right? It's me. Erlin was overjoyed. He didn't think that Master Bing would still recognize him after all this time. Master Bing, I've missed you so much. Don't you know that I've lost my purpose in life after you left? I can't live without boss. I feel so empty. Qibing had spent a few days in Songshan during middle school, so he got to know the tyrant of the school, Li Erlin. Qibing was rich and he had bodyguards at school. Erlin wasn't an idiot who only knew how to fight. He could tell that Qibing's family wasn't ordinary, and he could get some benefits from Qibing. And so, he volunteered to be Qibing's follower. Qibing had bodyguards that wanted to send him to school, but bodyguards couldn't go to school. Having a follower in school was a great thing, and so Qibing was very happy that Erlin had joined him. He didn't mistreat him and Erlin got quite a lot of benefits from Qibing as well. Who would have thought that Qibing wouldn't even stay for 2 months before transferring schools? Li Erlin was quite troubled. He'd thought that he'd be the young master's follower for a long time, and that he'd be able to find a better future in the future, but the young master had already transferred schools. Qibing had the ability to transfer schools, but Erlin didn't. He could only stay in his old school obediently. But Zhao Qibing was quite comfortable using Erlin, so he didn't mind Erlin calling him after he left. Qibing had contacted Li Erlin before coming back to Songshan, but this was the first time they'd met, and Li Erlin looked a little different than before. Oh, let's go get something to eat. Qibing nodded and introduced Li Erlin to Fabai and the others. This is Li Erlin, my follower from Songshan. He lives in the slums too, you can ask him about the demolition. Fabai looked down on Li Erlin before, but when he heard that he was Zhao Qibing's follower, he immediately became respectful. After all, he wasn't Zhao Qibing's follower yet. He was only working for Zhao Qibing now, not the core of the organization. Gubang, on the other hand, was secretly astonished as well. How was this inconspicuous gangster Master Bing's lackey? But he didn't dare ask. Qibing found a restaurant. He didn't have much interest in food, but he was interested in women and money. Let's go here. Erlin, go ask if there's a private room. Alright. Erlin was a gangster in this area, and naturally he knew the owner of the restaurant. After entering, he called out to the waiter. Get your boss out here. The waiter knew Erlin too and knew that he was a gangster. He didn't dare offend him, so he quickly nodded and called the boss over. The boss frowned when he saw Erlin. Erlin, didn't I give you pocket money this month? Why are you here again? The boss wasn't afraid of Erlin, but it was better to give a gangster like him some benefits every month. It would be troublesome if they caused trouble. What do you mean again? I'm here to have a meal. I'm looking up to you. My boss is here, prepare a private room. Erlin glared at the boss impatiently. My boss is Chairman Zhao from Qibing Real Estate, he's from the capital. The boss, on the other hand, had heard that Qibing Real Estate was in charge of renovating the slums nearby. He paused, wondering when did this Erlin get to know such a powerful boss? He didn't dare to delay and put on a smile. Erlin, it seems like you're going to make a fortune in the future? Don't forget about us after you become a boss. Of course. Alright, stop talking and get a private room. Li Erlin was very pleased with the boss's words. He was also thinking that since Master Bing had come here to start a company as his former follower, could he also get a job for himself and let him be the boss of a company? The boss personally sent Master Bing and the others to the private room. He didn't know Master Bing, but he had seen Zhong Fabai before. Which restaurant owner didn't know Zhong Fabai? Seeing how respectful Zhong Fabai was to the young man, the boss knew that Master Bing wasn't someone to be trifled with. Soon the dishes were placed on the table. Zhao Qibing ate some and asked, Erlin, I told you that I'm going to develop the slums. Did you ask around? What's the situation like now? The relocated households have already discussed it. They want 3,000 yuan per square meter as compensation. Li Erlin said, they're asking for too much. That's bullsh*t. 3,000? Zhao Qibing laughed coldly. The price of a house here is only 10,000 and they want 3,000? That's right. If it were up to me, they'd be asking for more than 1,000. Erlin said, Master Bing, I've asked around. There's no one with a powerful background in the slums. They're all small fries. Just do whatever you want, it'll be fine. That's good. Zhao Qibing nodded and turned to Fabai. If that's the case, demolish a few houses for me today. Demolish the house of the troublemaker first. Let's see if they'll still dare to be cocky after that. Don't worry, Master Bing. The bulldozer and trenching machine are already in place. We can start anytime. Fabai nodded. Chapter 574. Chapter 574 Incho? How pretty is she? Master Bing's eyes lit up, but he maintained a calm expression. He had passed the age where he couldn't move when he saw a woman. Although he was lustful, he had good taste. He had played with many women over the years, and some of them were exquisite. But the more he did it, the more Master Bing developed aesthetic fatigue. Now he was only interested in girls, especially virgins. That was his favorite. Tang Yun, have you heard of her? She's the prettiest girl in Songshan's first high school and the #1 beauty in the slums. Erlin said. I have a photo here. Master Bing, can you take a look? Oh? Let me see. Master Bing took Erlin's phone. It was filled with photos of Tang Yun that Erlin had secretly taken. Fabai was overjoyed. He was just thinking about how to shift the blame to Tang Yun when Erlin appeared. It was perfect timing. Now, he had a reason to mess with Tang Yun's family. Master Bing, I've heard of this Tang Yun before. My son is also studying in Songshan's first high school. There's a commoner school beauty called Tang Yun. Fabai interrupted. But I heard that she got a boyfriend recently? Just got a boyfriend? Not in the past? Master Bing's eyes lit up. It was very likely that the girl was a virgin. He looked at the photos on Erlin's phone. They were the best of the best. If the photos were already so pretty, how beautiful would the real person be? He was most interested in this type of woman. Not in the past, Master Bing. I'm sure that Tang Yun is still a virgin. Erlin said. I've done some research on this. Women who have lost their virginity before can tell. Zhao Qibing nodded. Old Zhong, think of a way to deal with Tang Yun's family. This girl is mine. Don't worry, Master Bing. I'll take care of it. Zhong Fabai's heart was filled with joy. God is helping me. This Li Erlin is such a wonderful person. I heard that Tang Yun's family wants to build a storefront after the demolition. We can use this as a bargaining chip. Li Erlin had already asked around about Tang Yun's family. He was from the slums after all, so it wasn't hard for him to find out. Zhong Fabai nodded. He was even more grateful to Li Erlin. This time he even had a reason to make things difficult for him. He didn't have to think about it anymore. After the meal, they returned to the square of Shanty Town. However, there was one more person on the podium. It was Li Erlin. The residents of Shanty Town were somewhat inexplicable. Why did these big bosses come and leave and then come back? What kind of play was this? Seeing Li Erlin on the rostrum, the residents of Shanty Town were annoyed. Li Erlin must have colluded with the enemy and told the developers about the residents' opinions. Because Li Erlin was also a member of Shanty Town, they did not hide it from him during the meeting, so he knew more about it. Now it seemed that it was a mistake. This brat was indeed a bad seed. He actually became a spy. Have you finished discussing? If you haven't, then let me talk about the compensation rules of Qibing real estate. Fabai cleared his throat and looked at the crowd. The compensation for every square meter is 800. After the house is built, we can give the returning residents a discount. The returning residents can enjoy a 20% discount, but the storefront and the garage are excluded. 800? The residents of Shanty Town were unhappy and started to clamor. How high are the housing prices now? How are we supposed to buy a house with 800? The housing prices here are already 10,000, and it's still 8,000 after a 20% discount. We will calculate the size of the sheds and the warehouse. Adding all of these together, it shouldn't be a problem for your family to buy a small house of 30 to 40 square meters, Fabai said indifferently. Okay, if there are no more problems, let's sign the agreement. Everyone was a little dumbfounded. The amount of compensation they agreed on was 3,000, but the bottom line was 2,000. With such a sum of money they could buy a decent big house elsewhere. However, they didn't expect the developer to only give 800. Wasn't the difference a little too big? The most disappointed person was Mrs. Tang. Her house was small and she didn't have a warehouse or shed. She just wanted to buy a storefront and start a barbecue business with the money that Linny gave her. But the returning residents didn't get a discount when buying a storefront. What kind of logic was this? We're not going to demolish it. What kind of compensation is this? If we demolish it, we won't have a place to live. Don't you guys agree? Someone started to clamor. Since someone had started it, there were more people who were dissatisfied. They all expressed their disagreement. This kind of compensation was too little. 3,000, not 1 cent less. We won't move if it's less. You guys can build wherever you want. Li Erlin, are you colluding with them? You traitor. How dare you betray a Shanty Town? We're all on the first floor. Why don't we get a discount when buying a storefront? If that's the case, then we might as well not move. Mrs. Tang couldn't help but ask. She didn't have much of an opinion on the compensation. Even if they gave 2,000, it wouldn't be more than 10,000. Mrs. Tang didn't want to speak up at first. After all, it wasn't suitable for a woman to speak up in a situation like this. But since everyone started to speak up, she didn't care anymore. However, Zhong Fabai pointed at her the moment she opened her mouth. You want a storefront? Then come over here. Mrs. Tang blinked. She didn't hear anything from Zhong Fabai's tone. Could it be that he wanted to give her a discount? Mrs. Tang was tempted and wanted to walk over. Tang Yun was a little scared. Mom, don't go. The bird that sticks out gets shot. Silly child, can't you see that everyone is making a fuss? If you don't fight for the benefits now, when are you going to fight for it? Mrs. Tang glared at her daughter. There's strength in numbers. Don't you understand? You still want to talk to them in private? Don't forget about your father's matter. We can't solve anything by ourselves. Now that we have more people, we can raise some conditions together. They will definitely solve it. Then, I'll go with you. Tang Yun was still worried. After all, she had seen how evil the bad guys could be. Tang Yun walked with Mrs. Tang. Zhong Fabai's eyes lit up when he saw Tang Yun. This Linny had good taste. This girl was quite pretty. What a pity. Chapter 575. Chapter 575, House Tang's Tragedy. You want a retail store, right? Master Bing has the final say on this. Why don't you talk to him? Fabai purposely pushed Mrs. Tang towards Zhao Qibing. Master Bing, what do you think? We want a storefront, is it possible? Mrs. Tang looked at Zhao Qibing worriedly. Qibing was obviously the one in charge and he looked a little gloomy. Mrs. Tang didn't dare to look at him. Retail store. Master Bing didn't look at Mrs. Tang but looked at Tang Yun with a lecherous gaze. I can give you the retail store. It's up to you. What? Oh. Mrs. Tang was taken aback. She didn't expect Master Bing to say this. Not only could he give her a retail store, he could even give her the retail store for free? What kind of logic was this? Was there such a good person in the world? It wasn't possible. This is your daughter, right? Zhao Qibing looked at Tang Yun with a lecherous gaze. I need a female secretary here. Let her follow me. Let's not talk about one retail store. I can even give you two. Mrs. Tang was taken aback. She understood what Zhao Qibing meant. He had his eyes on her daughter. But was it worth it to trade her daughter for a retail store? Linny didn't want his daughter anymore. It wouldn't be bad if his daughter followed Zhao Qibing. But would his words count? Tang Yun looked at her mother angrily. It was obvious that Zhao Qibing's conditions had moved her mother, but how could Tang Yun like Zhao Qibing? How could she agree to his conditions? Tang Yun pulled her mother's hand. Mom, let's go back. We don't want the retail store anymore. Mrs. Tang knew her daughter's personality. If it was someone she didn't like, she would never agree. She was as stubborn as a cow. It was useless to force her. The thing with Linny was that she liked Linny. But this Zhao Qibing was obviously playing around with her. If he really wanted Tang Yun to be his girlfriend, he wouldn't have made her his secretary. Let's go. Tang Yun turned around. She hated Zhao Qibing. Go? You can come and go as you please? Li Erlin suddenly jumped out and stood in front of the mother and daughter. I say, Tang Yun, it's your fortune that Master Bing has his eyes on you. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. You'll lose everything if you cause a ruckus. Li Erlin, you traitor. Get out of my way. Tang Yun held her head high. This Zhao Qibing obviously didn't have good intentions. How could she continue talking to them? Although Linny didn't want him, he couldn't humiliate himself, right? Become someone's toy? She would rather be Lin Yi's mistress. Tang Yun, right? I'm not afraid to tell you that there's no woman I can't get my hands on. If you know what's good for you and follow me, then you'll have a good life. Your family will have a store and a house, but if you don't follow me, then you'll have to bear the consequences. Zhao Qibing laughed coldly and made a bold statement. In front of so many people, Tang Yun rejected him like this. It made him lose face. In the provincial capital, as long as Master Bing beckoned with his finger, many beauties would throw themselves into his arms. He thought that if Tang Yun promised her some benefits, she would obediently follow him. He didn't expect her to have such a personality. We don't want the store anymore and we won't demolish the house. We'll live in the old house, okay? What else can you do? Tang Yun's personality was like this. She would rather give up the house than let others bully her. Not demolishing the house? That's not up to you. Zhao Qibing wanted to make an example out of Tang Yun. He couldn't find a target yet, so he decided to use Tang Yun's house as an example. He looked at Zhong Fabai. Fabai nodded and stood up, walking out of the square with Li Erlin. Mrs. Tang looked at her daughter helplessly. With this, the negotiation had come to an impasse. It was impossible to back out now. She didn't want the store anymore. She pulled her daughter and wanted to walk back. Did I say you could leave? Jean Gubang said coldly. Zhong Fabai and Li Erlin were gone, so it was his turn to speak. Can't we leave if we don't demolish the house? Tang Yun glared at Jean Gubang. Let them go. They'll regret it later, Zhao Qibing said faintly, but his tone was firm. He could already hear the sound of the bulldozer and trenching machine. Tang Yun and her daughter were confused. Why would they regret it later? But since they could go back now, they didn't want to stay here any longer. Mrs. Tang pulled Tang Yun home. She wanted to go back and discuss with Tang Yun. They couldn't just let it go like this, could they? What would they do if they gave up the store? Their dream of opening a barbecue shop was shattered. The two of them were near their house when they saw a trenching machine extending its arm, smashing towards their house. The bulldozers behind them roared as they pushed into the Tang family's courtyard, flattening all the fences in front of the door. Dad! Old Tang! Tang Yun and her mother screamed at the same time and ran back to their house. They didn't expect Zhao Qibing to send people to demolish their house. But Tang Juqing was still in the house. What should they do? Tang Yun ignored the danger and rushed into the house while Mrs. Tang went to stop the excavator from demolishing the house. At this moment, the beams were all destroyed. They didn't know if Tang Juqing was injured or not. He wouldn't be able to get out without help. What are you doing? My dad is still inside. Stop. Tang Yun yelled at the driver as she ran. However, Li Erlin, who was sitting next to the trenching machine driver, had a fierce look in his eyes. He said to the trenching machine driver, "Continue to dismantle it." "She is lying." Master Bing said that he will take responsibility if anything happens. The driver nodded and continued to operate the machine. Tang Yun saw that they weren't listening and could only rush into the house. But could she still enter the house? The bulldozer was blocking the front door and pushing forward. It was obvious that they wanted to cooperate with the trenching machine and destroy the house. Chapter 576. Her face. Someone's dead. Someone's dead. Mrs. Tang saw that her daughter was smashed and rushed over like a madwoman. She didn't know how her husband was doing and now her daughter was smashed. What should she do? The trencher and bulldozer drivers were dumbfounded and didn't dare to continue. After all, they were hired by Zhong Fabai. Zhong Fabai and Master Bing could handle the demolition, but if someone was killed, they wouldn't be able to get away with it. Zhong Fabai froze as well. He didn't think that Tang Yun would be so bold as to rush into the house. Did she want to die? Qibing, Jianghu, and the bodyguards were here to watch the commotion, but Mrs. Tang's scream of, "Someone's dead," shocked them as well. Zhao Qibing frowned when he saw the disfigured Tang Yun lying in a pool of blood. He cursed in his heart. Such a beautiful girl was killed just like that? Even if she wasn't dead, she wasn't pretty anymore. What a pity. Let's go. We'll come back in a few days. Seeing that someone was injured, Zhao Qibing knew that he couldn't continue the discussion today. However, he had achieved his goal of killing one as a warning to the others. After today's scene, these people wouldn't be able to ask for an exorbitant price the next time they came to discuss the issue of relocation. Don't go. Everyone hurry up and stop them. We don't know what happened to Yin. They can't leave, they're murderers. Mrs. Tang saw that Zhao Qibing and the others were trying to escape and panicked. However, Zhao Qibing and the others got on the bulldozer and continued driving forward. The residents of the slums wanted to stop them, but no one dared to step forward. After all, these people dared to demolish people's houses. They wouldn't be afraid of being crushed to death. Zhao Qibing shouted when he saw that there were people who were eager to try. Go ahead if you're not afraid of death. Don't worry about these people, we'll crush them to death. Zhao Qibing's domineering attitude made the people who wanted to make a move stop. After all, everyone was afraid of death, especially someone like Zhao Qibing who wasn't afraid of death. Who would dare to provoke him? And so, Qibing's group left the slums very quickly, leaving only Mrs. Tang hugging Tang Yun and crying her heart out. The door was broken and they couldn't get in. They didn't know if old Tang was all right or not. Someone had already called the police and the ambulance, but it was the fire truck that came first. The firefighters broke down the half-demolished house and rescued Juqing. Mrs. Tang breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that only Tang Juqing's legs were broken. Tang Juqing could still speak when he was carried out, but he was grimacing in pain and sweating profusely. Mrs. Tang couldn't be bothered to comfort him, she just hugged her daughter and waited for the ambulance. Then the ambulance and police car arrived. Mrs. Tang quickly carried her daughter into the ambulance, and Tang Juqing was also carried into the other ambulance. The two ambulances sped towards the hospital. After the group left, Qibing gave the bulldozer and trench digger a sum of money and told them to leave first. The two were scared and ran after taking the money. Qibing, on the other hand, wasn't scared at all. If anything happened, he could just push the blame onto the two drivers. Uncle Zhu, follow them and create an accident. Kill them, Qibing whispered to the middle-aged bodyguard beside him after the two drivers left. Yes, Master Bing. The middle-aged man called Uncle Zhu didn't say anything else. He turned around and chased after the two drivers. Naturally, Qibing wouldn't allow the evidence to point at him after someone died. The only way was to eliminate the source of the trouble. After all, he didn't know if anyone died or not. Qibing had asked Uncle Zhu to kill a lot of people already, so he didn't feel guilty at all. He laughed and rushed back to Qibing's skyscraper with Erlin, Fabai, and Jean Gubang. Qibing's skyscraper was the headquarters of Qibing Real Estate built by Gubang and Sihua a while ago. It was officially completed today. Qibing, on the other hand, was holding a completion ceremony for Qibing's skyscraper tonight. He invited some of the famous people in Songshan to the banquet hall in front of Qibing's skyscraper. This banquet hall would become a restaurant after the completion of Qibing's skyscraper. It was also the cafeteria for the employees of Qibing's skyscraper. Tang Yun and Tang Juqing were sent to the hospital. When they arrived, Tang Yun was already awake. Mrs. Tang breathed a sigh of relief. After the medical staff's examination, Tang Yun only had a cut on her forehead. There were no other problems. But the wound on her forehead needed stitches and it would leave a scar. It was impossible for her to be as beautiful as before. It was already good enough that she didn't scare people when she went out. Tang Juqing, on the other hand, had both of his legs broken. He was put on a cast after being sent to the hospital. He was fine except for the fact that he could stand up just now. Now he had to lie on the bed again. In fact, Tang Yun and Tang Juqing were fine. But after Mrs. Tang breathed a sigh of relief, she started to worry again. Her house was forcefully demolished. She didn't even have a home in the future. What should she do? Now that her daughter's face was disfigured, she didn't even have the capital to bargain with Zhao Qibing. Would he still like her? So Mrs. Tang was worried. She was hoping that her daughter could find a rich man with her face, but now she had nothing. Mrs. Tang, on the other hand, had never thought of asking Zhao Qibing for medical fees. The memory of how hard it was for Tang Juqing was still fresh in her mind. She didn't expect Zhao Qibing to compensate them at all. Tang Yun's head was covered with bandages. She stared blankly at the ceiling of the hospital. Wouldn't she be pretty in the future? Was she going to become an ugly monster? Although Tang Yun did get angry when she met bad guys who were drooling over her beauty. She wanted to become ugly so that she wouldn't be harassed. But women were born to love beauty. She didn't want to become ugly, did she? Would Linny still like her? Tang Yun thought about how Linny didn't want her anymore. Tears started to flow down her face. At first, she still had the capital to compete with Xiao Xiao, but now? Now that her face was disfigured, Linny probably wouldn't want her anymore, right? Don't be sad. The doctor said that if you recover well, there won't be a big scar left. Mrs. Tang didn't know when she walked into the room. Seeing her daughter crying silently, Mrs. Tang's heart broke. Mom? Tang Yun couldn't hold back her emotions anymore. She started crying. Mom, why is our family so unlucky? What? Why did they demolish our house? What? Chapter 577. What to do in the future? You're right, the bird that pokes its head out gets shot, but Mom, I shouldn't have tried to take advantage of them and asked for a store. Now that I think about it, they just wanted to make an example out of me. We just happened to bump into each other. Mrs. Tang continued. Tang Yun felt wronged. Half of it was because she was bullied and the other half was because she was abandoned by Linny. It seemed like the ugly duckling was destined to never become a swan. She thought that she had found a good boyfriend, but in the end he just wanted to play with her. After hearing Zhao Qibing's words, Tang Yun suddenly understood. Girls from poor families like her were just playthings in the eyes of those rich young masters. How could they be sincere? She was naive enough to think that Linny would treat her well for the rest of his life. While the mother and daughter were worrying, a doctor in a white coat walked in and looked at Mrs. Tang. You're Tang Juqing and Tang Yun's family, right? You should pay for the surgery and hospital fees. The 10,000 yuan deposit isn't enough. Not enough. Mrs. Tang didn't know what to do. This 10,000 yuan was borrowed from the slums. Her house was torn down and Lin Yi's card was nowhere to be found. How was she going to pay for the medical fees? Yes, please pay as soon as possible. You need to pay at least 20,000 yuan. The doctor placed the receipt on the table in front of Mrs. Tang and walked out. Mrs. Tang looked at the receipt in front of her and didn't know what to do. Mom, do you have no money? Where's the money? Tang Yun saw her mother's expression and temporarily suppressed the grievances in her heart. I didn't bring the card and passbook with me. I don't know if I can find them. This 10,000 yuan is borrowed from Lu Xinwen's family. It's not enough. Mrs. Tang sighed. Now that our house is gone and you and your dad are injured, how are we going to survive? No matter how hard their family had been in the past, they were never at a dead end. But now they were at a dead end. Their house was gone and they had no money. The card was in Lin Yi's name and they couldn't report it. What would they do in the future? Mrs. Tang was worried when Lu Xinwen pushed the door open and ran in. She shouted, Yin, how are you? How are you? You scared me to death. Lu Xinwen couldn't follow the ambulance, so she had to come here by herself. That was why she had only just arrived at the hospital. I'm fine. Tang Yun smiled bitterly and rubbed her eyes. She didn't want Xinwen to see her crying. But Lu Xinwen wasn't blind. How could she not see the tear stains in Tang Yun's eyes? Yun, are you crying? Lu Xinwen exclaimed, What's wrong? What's the matter? Isn't the doctor fine now? Xinwen, I'm disfigured. Tang Yun couldn't hold it in anymore. She'd had enough. She wanted to cry now. She wouldn't be a pretty girl anymore. Compared to his father's broken leg, the consequences of Tang Yun's actions were much more serious. Tang Juqing only had a fracture. It was nothing serious. As long as he recovered, he would be fine. But Tang Yun's face was disfigured. How could she accept it? Her face was disfigured? Xinwen was also shocked. Tang Yun was the prettiest of the sisters. How could she be disfigured? 8 stitches on her forehead. Mrs. Tang smiled bitterly. Her home is gone and her father's leg is broken. He still owes you money, and the hospital is asking for medical fees. How are we going to live like this? Did you tell Linny? Lu Xinwen asked suddenly. Why would I look for him? Tang Yun felt wronged and almost cried again. Let Linny see how pitiful she was? How could she? If Xiao Xiao came, she'd laugh at her and be happy that her face was disfigured. How could you not look for him when something like this happened? You idiot, hurry up and call him. Lu Xinwen was panicking. He doesn't want me anymore. Why would I look for him? Why would I rely on him? Tang Yun cried again. She was sad and wronged. I have to say, kid, they say that a day together means 100 days of love. I think he likes you. Why don't you try calling him? Our family is already like this. How are we going to live if we don't look for him? Mrs. Tang hesitated. Even if we don't want anything else, we should at least pay up that 500,000 yuan card, right? Like me? Like what? I'm disfigured. I don't even want to be his mistress anymore. How am I supposed to call him? Embarrass me? Tang Yun felt wronged. She didn't think that her mother would still be concerned about the breakup fee. Tang Yun felt wronged. His reaction was also intense. He straightened his neck and said angrily, I used to like you. Why don't you try? Mrs. Tang didn't want to give up. She was an adult. She had to think more. She couldn't just give up that 500,000 yuan. What would happen to the family if she gave it up? What do I have to try? What do I have to do? I owe him so much money. We didn't even do anything. How am I supposed to ask him? How am I supposed to pay him back? Tang Yun was panicking. Why don't you ask his girlfriend to be his mistress? Didn't his girlfriend agree? Mrs. Tang said after some hesitation. I don't want to. Mom, what kind of idea is this? I'm going to die if you say anything else. How can you embarrass me like that? I'm disfigured. Why would he agree to be his mistress? How am I supposed to live? How could Tang Yun agree? Wasn't she asking her to embarrass herself? Why are you so stubborn? You're playing with Zhao Qibing and you're playing with Lin Yi. What's wrong with being a mistress? We don't even have a house. If you don't call us, we'll just wait for death. Mrs. Tang wasn't being unreasonable. This family was at their wits' end. What should she do? Mrs. Tang wanted her daughter to seduce Zhao Qibing. Giving them 2 stores and a house wasn't a bad idea. The problem was that her daughter was disfigured. Zhao Qibing wouldn't even want her. So Mrs. Tang turned her attention to Lin Yi. She thought that Lin Yi was in a relationship with her daughter. He had to care about her feelings, right? Even if her daughter was disfigured, he couldn't just ignore it, could he? Mrs. Tang couldn't be blamed for thinking that way. She was too poor. She was afraid of being bullied. When Lin Yi was around, Mrs. Tang was in the limelight. Even the people at the food street didn't dare to bully her. It gave her a sense of satisfaction. But after Lin Yi left, her family was bullied. Their house was torn down, their man's leg was broken, and their daughter's face was disfigured. They didn't even dare to reason with them. Mrs. Tang didn't want that. She wanted to live a rich and powerful life. Chapter 578. Chapter 578, Tang Yin's complicated thoughts. Who knew that her daughter would be disfigured? Mrs. Tang wanted her daughter to give it a try. At least it would give her hope. Then you're forcing me? I didn't beg him when I looked good. Now that I'm disfigured, how can I beg him? You want me to beg him to be his mistress? I'm not that shameless, I can't do it. With Tang Yin's personality, how could she do something like that? If it was before, Tang Yin would grit her teeth and reluctantly accept her mother forcing her to be a mistress. After all, she couldn't let go of this relationship. If Lin Yi apologized to her, Tang Yin's heart might really soften. But now that she was disfigured, wouldn't it be embarrassing to beg him to be a mistress? What would Lin Yi think of her? Tang Yin didn't want it. Mrs. Tang couldn't help but fall silent after hearing Tang Yin's words. She was indeed powerful. Although she was vain, Tang Yin was still her daughter. Hence, when Master Bing had his eyes on Tang Yin, she let Tang Yin choose herself. Since Tang Yin rejected, she naturally wouldn't force it. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was different. Mrs. Tang naturally could tell that her daughter liked Lin Yi. As far as she was concerned, it was only right for her daughter to go find Lin Yi. After all, her daughter had feelings for Lin Yi. Even if she wasn't worthy of Lin Yi and couldn't compare to Lin Yi's current girlfriend's family background, her daughter was still pretty, right? Being a mistress or a mistress was a bit unfair, but if her daughter was willing, Mrs. Tang naturally wouldn't say anything. There weren't many situations where you could have both love and bread. She had suffered for most of her life, pursuing an illusory love. She had seen too much of the fickleness of the world and the fickleness of human nature. She didn't want her daughter to walk the same path. Looking at the classmates of her age, some of them looked like they were in their 30s. Mrs. Tang secretly envied them. Back then she was the school belle. Boys fought over her. But now, no one even talked to her during class gatherings. Mrs. Tang knew that this was the end of her life. It was her own choice to marry old Tang. After she had Tang Yun, it was impossible for her to get a divorce. Moreover, she had feelings for Tang Juqing. Tang Yin, on the other hand, was different. Her daughter was only 18, the prime of her youth. If she could find a rich man she liked, then she'd have a bright future ahead of her. Otherwise, how would she be able to live a good life with her own efforts? It was true that there were people who changed their lives with their own efforts, but there were still many girls from poor families who couldn't find a job after graduation or couldn't find a good job. They were tempted by all kinds of society and walked on the evil path. If they were not prostitutes, they would become someone else's mistress. Otherwise, they would sleep with their superiors and clients for the sake of promotion and money. These were not uncommon. Mrs. Tang felt that her daughter wouldn't be at a disadvantage if she followed Lin Yi. This was also why she kept asking Tang Yun to find Lin Yi. However, she had calmed down now. Her daughter was right. She was already disfigured. Would Lin Yi still care about her? If he were to be rejected, how embarrassing would that be? With her daughter's unyielding personality, she'd probably kill herself. With that thought, Mrs. Tang didn't dare to force her daughter anymore. How about I go make the call? I'll go all out. I've been treated with a lot of disdain in my life anyways. Worst comes to worst, I'll just get insulted by Lin Yi. Mom, don't call. Tang Yun's heart trembled slightly when she heard her mother's words. Her resentment towards her mother disappeared in an instant. Her mother still loved her. Yes, her mother had suffered for most of her life. She planned this for her own sake. She didn't want her to live a poor life in the future. Although her mother's actions were a bit extreme, Tang Yun understood her mother at this moment. Yes, just a moment ago, Tang Yun watched as the bulldozer pushed into her yard and the trenching machine collapsed the roof of her house. At that moment, Tang Yun felt so helpless, so helpless. She wanted to fight against fate, but she couldn't. Tang Yun was powerless in front of a strong and evil person. She understood her mother now. She knew why her mother was so snobbish. This was reality. How could her mother not be snobbish? If she believed that Lin Yi was still her boyfriend, would he just sit and watch his house get destroyed? Zhou Ruoming wanted to do something to her, and after being taught a lesson by Lin Yi, the Zhou family was as scared as a grandson in front of her. He was one of the most powerful tycoons in Songshan. They didn't even dare to breathe in front of her. "Yin, I have no choice. I don't want to see you suffer." Mrs. Tang sighed. "Mom?" Tang Yun cried. She cried so miserably, "I know you're doing this for me, but I don't want to be so spineless. If Lin Yi doesn't want me, how can we go to him? If I didn't become like this, it'd be fine. If I owe too much, I'll find a way to pay it back. If I can't pay it back, I'll pay it back with my body." Mrs. Tang and Lu Xinwen's hearts ached as they looked at Tang Yun, but they still helped her. "Auntie, why don't I talk to Lin Yi? I'm just a bystander. I don't care if I lose face or not. It's not a big deal if he rejects me." Xinwen thought about it. It was more appropriate for her to make this call. "That's great. Xinwen, I'll be troubling you." Mrs. Tang was happy that Xinwen was willing to make the call. It might not be effective, but it was better than nothing. Lin Yi couldn't just ignore his daughter's relationship with him, right? Tang Yun bit her lips. She wanted to stop him, but she sighed. If she didn't talk to Lin Yi, she wouldn't know who else to talk to. In just a few short minutes, Tang Yun's mind was made up. Her house was gone, her father's leg was broken, and she was disfigured. Her family was in a terrible state. To use a more popular saying, could it be any more miserable? In fact, Tang Yun also wanted to see if Lin Yi cared about her. Tang Yun was looking forward to it. A girl's heart was always hard to understand, especially a girl in love. Xinwen picked up the phone and dialed a familiar number. Tang Yin's heart tensed up, and her breathing became labored. "Wait, what's wrong, Yin?" Xinwen put down the phone and looked at Tang Yun strangely. "Yin, you should have asked him to come." Chapter 579. Shu the spy. Xinwen didn't want to talk about Tang Yin's disfigurement at first. She wanted Lin Yi to come first, but since Tang Yin asked, Xinwen could only comply. She understood that Tang Yin wanted to see if Lin Yi's feelings for her were real. If Lin Yi really loved Tang Yin, then even if Tang Yin wasn't pretty, Lin Yi wouldn't just ignore it. But if Lin Yi only wanted Tang Yin's beauty, then Lin Yi might just ignore it. Mrs. Tang knew what her daughter was thinking. She couldn't help but sigh. It seemed that whether or not Lin Yi would be able to control her daughter, It was up to fate. Xinwen saw that Tang Yin was determined and couldn't reject it. She picked up her phone again and called Lin Yi's number. The last class in the afternoon was a self-study class. Meng Yao was focused on her revision materials when Yushu whispered, "Yao Yao sis, I have good news and bad news for you. Which one do you want to hear first?" "Whatever," Meng Yao said faintly. "Yao Yao sis, why are you so calm?" Yushu saw that Meng Yao didn't seem to be interested and was a little disappointed. "Your good news and bad news are basically the same. It doesn't matter which one I hear." Meng Yao had gotten to know Yushu very well after all these years, and she knew that Yushu's good news and bad news were all normal news, just a little exaggerated. Meng Yao had been lying to her a few times before, but now she was calm. "This news is different. It's about Shield Bro," Yushu whispered mysteriously. Meng Yao raised her eyebrows subtly and said faintly, "What about Lin Yi? What good news does he have?" Yushu smiled when she saw that Meng Yao was interested. "The good news is that I heard that Lin Yi and Tang Yin broke up. Yao Yao sis, you have a chance." Meng Yao was speechless, but in her heart she was happy. Was she happy? Meng Yao didn't know what to say. "What kind of good news is this? There's a chance it should be you. You've kissed him before and he's even seen you naked." "I want to, but if the main wife doesn't do it, the second wife can't do it either." Yushu said nonchalantly, "You've kissed me before indirectly. Let's not talk about this." Meng Yao didn't want to talk about it, but the feeling of disgust was gone. Thinking back to how strong her reaction was, Meng Yao felt sweet instead. "Then what's the bad news?" "That Xiao Xiao seems to be Shield Bro's new girlfriend," Yushu said. "How do you know? Where did you get this information? How come I didn't know about it?" Meng Yao asked curiously. "Don't forget I'm the spy Shu 007. Yushu said proudly, "I knew it as soon as I asked around." Meng Yao couldn't help but smile. "Spy Shu? Shu the B** starred, right? Looking at your face, do you like Lin Yi?" "Why would I like him? It's Yao Yao sis who likes him, and as the second wife I can only train myself to like him," Yushu said. "Let's read." Meng Yao glanced at Yushu before turning back to the materials in front of her, but she didn't flip a single page for a long time. Yushu, on the other hand, took out a workbook and started flipping through it quickly, writing and drawing on it from time to time. Meng Yao frowned. Her best friend's mentality wasn't something normal people could understand. Lin Yi was planning to skip the evening class and go to Tang Yun's house when the phone in his pocket vibrated. He took it out and saw that it was Xinwen. "Hello." Lin Yi picked up. "Lin Yi, it's Xinwen." Xinwen took a deep breath, her tone unfriendly. Although Tang Yun was looking at her, Xinwen couldn't control her emotions. After all, Tang Yun was her good friend, so no matter how powerful this heartless Lin Yi was, she had to stand up for Tang Yun. Xinwen's personality was like that. If it weren't for Master Bing's group running fast, Xinwen would have grabbed a cleaver and started chopping them. Her reckless and impulsive personality was also very loyal to her friends. "Xinwen? What's the matter?" Lin Yi blinked, not understanding why Xinwen was looking for him at this time. "Tang Yun is in trouble at Songshan's First People's Hospital. Her forehead is injured and she needs 8 stitches. If I'm not mistaken, her face is disfigured." Xinwen was about to ask Lin Yi if this heartless guy still cared about Tang Yun, but Lin Yi interrupted her. "What? Tang Yun is injured? Wait for me, I'll be right there." Lin Yi didn't wait for Xinwen to finish and rushed out of the classroom with the phone. Tang Yun was Lin Yi's first real girlfriend. Although Lin Yi wasn't good at sweet-talking, he had already treated Tang Yun as his woman. Tang Yun was injured and this made Lin Yi's heart tighten. "Is there any other problem with her? Is the injury serious? Which ward are you in?" Lin Yi's continuous questions made Xinwen stunned. Before she called, she had already made several assumptions, but they were all based on Lin Yi's indifference, evasiveness, or unwillingness. She didn't expect Lin Yi to be so anxious. She hadn't even explained what was going on, and Lin Yi was coming. However, this also made Xinwen feel relieved. This Lin Yi wasn't that despicable after all. At least she was worried about Tang Yun, unlike Kang Ming who treated Xiaofan as a plaything and never had any real feelings for her. So, in Xinwen's heart, Lin Yi could be forgiven. After all, many rich kids didn't have the freedom to decide their own marriages. Although they might have found their true love, under the pressure of their families, they had to give it up and be with someone their family arranged. From Xinwen's perspective, Feng Xiaoxiao's family might be special, and she might be able to help Lin Yi. So Lin Yi had no choice but to be with her, and under Feng Xiaoxiao's pressure, he gave up Tang Yun. "She's in room 512 of the second inpatient department," Xinwen told Lin Yi the room number. No other injuries, just disfigurement? I understand. Lin Yi let out a breath of relief, but he was still nervous. How did this happen? Chapter 580. Clarifying the misunderstanding. Suddenly, Xinwen's childishness came to her, and she purposely kept her phone to herself. What did he say? Tang Yun's heart tightened as she looked at Xinwen nervously. Lin Yi. Xinwen dragged out the words on purpose. He's so nervous, he said he'll be here soon. Ah. Tang Yun's heart warmed, but her face reddened as she glared at Xinwen. You're making me nervous on purpose. Seeing her mother's smile, Tang Yun was even more certain that Xinwen was doing it on purpose. Xinwen was sitting on the bed when she made the call. She was quite far away from Tang Yun, so she couldn't hear what Lin Yi said on the phone. But Mrs. Tang was sitting next to Xinwen, so naturally she could hear what Lin Yi was saying. Yun, it seems like Lin Yi still likes you. I say, is there some kind of misunderstanding here? Xinwen calmed down. Lin Yi's nervousness wasn't fake. He was genuinely worried about Tang Yun. Lin Yi had always been calm and collected. Even if something happened, he wouldn't be like this. It was probably only because of Tang Yun that he would be this nervous, right? I don't know. Tang Yun was a little shy, but her heart was filled with sweetness. Did he really care about her? Did he love her? Would he care about her if her face was disfigured? But what was up with Xiao Xiao? Tang Yun's heart started to worry again. As for whether or not she would be disfigured, Tang Yun didn't think about it anymore. Yain, I think Lin Yi likes you. Maybe I'll talk to him later and see what that girlfriend of his is thinking? What's his attitude towards her? Mrs. Tang was happy as well. I heard that a lot of big families' marriages are unfortunate. Those men have lovers outside and they like their lovers, not their wives. If that's the case, you still have a chance. Mom, what nonsense are you talking about? Tang Yun's mood was much better now, so she wasn't as conflicted as before when her mother joked. Lin Yi rushed out of the school, got into his car and rushed to the First People's Hospital. He called Fatty Lai on the way. Fatty Lai, are you back yet? I just got back. I'm on my way back to the company to discuss the product launch. We've already received tens of millions of orders. Fatty Lai was very happy. It was only the first day and they'd already received so many orders. Of course, many of them were related to the families at the auction, so they were the first to receive the news. Do you have injury medicine with you? Bring a bottle to Ward 512 of the 2nd Inpatient Department of the First People's Hospital. Hurry up. Lin Yi hesitated for a moment and said, bring a bottle of painkiller too. The injury medicine was already in mass production, so Fatty Lai had a lot of samples in his hands. Although the painkiller wasn't in mass production yet, he still had some samples. However, the special edition injury medicine was gone. Lin Yi had just returned, so he didn't have time to reconfigure it. However, Tang Yun's injury was new, so she didn't need the special edition injury medicine. In fact, the doctors at the First People's Hospital also knew that Tang Yun's injury was cured with Dr. Kang's Golden Creation medicine. However, Dr. Kang's Golden Creation medicine wasn't something ordinary people could buy. It was priceless and even the hospital didn't have it, so they didn't mention it. Yes, I'll be right there. Fatty Lai didn't say much. He received Lin Yi's order and immediately went to execute it. This was Fatty Lai's personality. He listened to Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi didn't care about the traffic lights anymore. He directly drove to the hospital. Even if he was caught by the camera, Fatty Lai would pay for it. Lin Yi didn't care about the fine anymore. Tang Yun was more important than that. He rushed into the ward. For the first time, Lin Yi's emotions weren't calm. He didn't even greet Mrs. Tang and Lu Xinwen. He directly held Tang Yun's hand. Tang Yun, what happened to you? Why were you so careless? Tang Yun saw the deep concern in Lin Yi's eyes. She blushed slightly. Her heart was filled with sweetness. However, out of shyness, she wanted to pull her hand away from Lin Yi's big hand. You? Let go of me. What are you doing here? What if Xiao Xiao finds out? Xiao Xiao? Lin Yi blinked. She's your girlfriend now, what am I? Although Tang Yun was confused by Lin Yi's expression, she couldn't help but blame him. My girlfriend? Since when did she become my girlfriend? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard Tang Yun's words. My girlfriend is you. When did it become her? Mrs. Tang and Xinwen, on the other hand, froze at the words. Tang Yun was so shocked that she didn't know what to say. Her heart was filled with happiness. Tang Yun had already prepared for the worst-case scenario. Her mother wanted her to be Lin Yi's mistress. To be honest, Tang Yun didn't want to reject it, but it wasn't from the bottom of her heart. If it was forced, she could accept it. But Lin Yi's words made Tang Yun overjoyed. It didn't matter if Lin Yi was lying to her or if he was telling the truth, Tang Yun was already very happy. At least this meant that Lin Yi still cared about her. Before, she told me that she's your girlfriend, and the money you gave my mom was my breakup fee. Tang Yun told him what happened in a small voice, including how she broke her phone. Lin Yi was speechless. He didn't know what to say. So he gave that money to the wrong person. This Xiao Xiao was just in time to get a breakup fee. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Don't you know what Xiao Xiao's like? She's crazy all the time and she dares to do anything. How could you believe her words? Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's explanation and knew that she misunderstood. She was speechless. However, Tang Yun felt a little ashamed. She was right, she didn't trust Lin Yi. If she had trusted him, wouldn't all of this have happened? But a girl's heart was sensitive, especially a girl who had just fallen in love. She was afraid of losing her lover. Tang Yun couldn't be blamed for being suspicious. Who told things to happen so coincidentally? Mrs. Tang, on the other hand, was grinning from ear to ear. It looked like it was all a misunderstanding. She couldn't help but blame her daughter. How could she be so petty? Even if Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi did something, she shouldn't have given up, right? You have to hold on to happiness. How could you give up just like that? Chapter 581. Lin Yi's anger, but I'm already disfigured. You. Tang Yun suddenly thought of her current situation and felt sad. It was true that Lin Yi liked her, but would he still like her after seeing her like this? Tang Yun wasn't sure. After all, when Lin Yi first came into contact with her, it must be because of her beauty, right? Ha. Lin Yi suddenly laughed. What are you laughing at? Are you laughing at me? Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi angrily. So what if I'm disfigured? Lin Yi shrugged. Then what I'm asking is, do you still want me? Tang Yun stared at Lin Yi. Of course, why not? Lin Yi nodded. Ugh. Tang Yun didn't know what to say. What did Lin Yi mean? At that moment, Fatty Lai entered the ward, panting. It must have been hard on him. He had a body full of fat, but he ran like the wind. Boss, I'm here. Fatty Lai held 2 boxes and walked to Lin Yi. When he looked down, he saw Tang Yun on the bed. He was shocked. Sister-in-law, what's wrong? How did you get hurt? This was what Lin Yi wanted to know as well, but he didn't have the time yet. Lin Yi had just resolved the misunderstanding with Tang Yun, and now that Fatty Lai had brought the medicine over, Lin Yi naturally had to treat Tang Yun first. He didn't want Tang Yun to be disfigured. We'll talk about this later. Lin Yi took the boxes from Fatty Lai and said to Tang Yun, I'll apply some medicine for you. Okay. Tang Yun nodded without thinking. She was in a sweet and happy mood. She knew that Lin Yi wouldn't harm her, so she would cooperate with whatever Lin Yi wanted to do. Lin Yi helped Tang Yun up and started removing the bandage on her head, scaring Mrs. Tang and Xinwen. Oh. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Mrs. Tang asked as she watched Lin Yi remove the bandage on her daughter's head. Heal the wounds. Lin Yi replied. His hands didn't stop moving as he quickly removed the gauze. It might have touched the wound on Tang Yun's head. Tang Yun's body trembled slightly and she couldn't help but frown. There was a horrifying wound on Tang Yun's forehead. Although it had been stitched up, it was still horrifying. Lin Yi's heart ached. How could this girl be so careless? Fortunately, I have injury medicine. Otherwise, wouldn't I really be disfigured? Don't worry, it won't hurt soon. Lin Yi opened the box and applied the painkiller evenly on Tang Yun's forehead. This kind of painkiller could be taken orally and applied externally. Mrs. Tang was a bit scared. She didn't know what Lin Yi was going to do, but she didn't dare to stop him. She thought that Lin Yi wouldn't harm her daughter. If Lin Yi didn't really like her daughter, he could just ignore her since she was in this state. Why would he go through all this trouble? Xinwen, on the other hand, was much calmer. When she sent Xiaofan to the hospital, Lin Yi's amazing acupuncture was still fresh in her mind. Tang Yun also said that Lin Yi knew medicine, so Xinwen thought that Lin Yi was definitely treating Tang Yun. After applying the painkiller, Tang Yun was shocked to find that her forehead didn't hurt anymore. How was this possible? She couldn't help but look at Lin Yi in shock. It was unbelievable. Lin Yi quickly removed the stitches on Tang Yun's forehead, and the wound opened up. Blood flowed out, but Lin Yi wasn't in a rush. He slowly applied the ointment on the wound, and it didn't take long for the bleeding to stop. After doing all this, Lin Yi wrapped the gauze on Tang Yun's forehead again and smiled. It's done. You won't be disfigured anymore. Lin Yi was too lazy to use painkillers on the female assassin Yang Qiqi or himself. This kind of wound was nothing. He could just apply the injury medicine directly. But Tang Yun couldn't. She didn't have professional training. This kind of pain was hard to bear. Ah, not anymore? Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words. She was surprised and happy, but she also felt that it was unbelievable. Not anymore. Lin Yi nodded. This is my company's first product. It's called injury medicine. It has the same effect as Dr. Kang's golden creation. Mrs. Tang didn't believe that her daughter wouldn't be disfigured, but after hearing Lin Yi's words, she believed it. Dr. Kang's golden creation was famous. But this wasn't a product that normal people like them could buy. It was a limited supply of miraculous medicine. It was hard to buy even if you had to go through a lot of channels. It was said that after applying it, the wound would heal quickly without leaving any scars. It was amazing. Haha. Tang Yun finally put down her worries. She couldn't help but like Lin Yi even more. Being his girlfriend was great. She wouldn't have to disfigure herself. Just take a sip of this painkiller if you feel any pain later. Lin Yi said as he handed the painkiller to Mrs. Tang. One night and you'll be able to remove the bandages. That's fast. Mrs. Tang exclaimed. At the same time, her mind became active again. Your Uncle Tang's legs were broken. Is there any way to help him recover faster? Uncle Tang is injured too? Lin Yi paused. His face became serious. Before, he thought that Tang Yun's injury was an accident, so he didn't think much about it. But now that Mrs. Tang said that Tang Juqing was injured as well, Lin Yi started to suspect something. Especially when Mrs. Tang said that she was injured. Could there be something going on? What happened? How did Tang Yun and Uncle Tang get injured? Well, it's like this. Mrs. Tang didn't think about asking Lin Yi to help them. After all, from her point of view, those people were like mafia members. They did whatever they wanted and normal people couldn't afford to offend them. She told Lin Yi that it was because her house collapsed. She wanted Lin Yi to help solve it. Otherwise, where would she live in the future? Mrs. Tang told Lin Yi everything that happened. She didn't dare hide anything from him. She told him about how she was greedy for money and how she wanted to get the store. If there wasn't a cause, then why would there be such a thing? After listening to Mrs. Tang's story, Lin Yi's face darkened. In his heart, he was already extremely furious. These people dared to treat Tang Yun like this. They had crossed Lin Yi's bottom line. Lin Yi was infuriated. Master Bing? Very good. Chapter 582. Completion Ceremony Boss. Zhao Qibing is a very famous young master in our province. His family background is very mysterious. I heard that he's related to the hidden houses. Li Zihua from Songshan is his subordinate. Fatty Lai was afraid that Lin Yi would act rashly and quickly revealed Zhao Qibing's background. I heard that he's a bastard child, but there's no proof. What's a hidden house? Lin Yi didn't seem to care about what Fatty Lai said. Hidden houses are more mysterious than the 4 big and 5 small houses. No one knows the names of these houses except for House Yu. I heard that they're a branch of a hidden house, or that House Yu itself is a branch of a hidden house. Fatty Lai said with a serious expression. But the hidden houses are stronger than these noble houses. It's just that they rarely interfere with the affairs of the common world. Oh. Lin Yi nodded expressionlessly. You don't have to say that. Just tell me where Zhao Qibing is. Fatty Lai froze. He knew that Lin Yi was determined to touch Zhao Qibing. He said helplessly, Zhao Qibing established a Qibing real estate company in Songshan. The Qibing skyscraper was just completed today. Zhao Qibing is holding a completion ceremony at the Qibing restaurant in front of the skyscraper. He invited a lot of famous people in Songshan. I received an invitation as well. Completion? Lin Yi smiled coldly. Fatty Lai, go find some trenching machines and bulldozers. We're going to meet this Master Bing. Lin Yi's tone was filled with certainty. Fatty Lai knew that no matter what background Zhao Qibing had, he wouldn't be able to stop his boss's anger. However, Fatty Lai was firm. Since his boss was going to touch Zhao Qibing as his follower, he had to take the lead. He had decided to follow Lin Yi. He didn't care if Zhao Qibing was from a hidden house. Yes, boss. Fatty Lai was in the real estate business. Naturally, he had an engineering team. It wasn't hard to find some bulldozers and trenching machines. Tang Yun was shocked after hearing Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Don't cause trouble. Let's go see Uncle Tang first. Lin Yi didn't respond to Tang Yun's words. He understood Tang Yun's worry, but Lin Yi's mind was set. If someone dared to touch Tang Yun, how could Lin Yi let them go so easily? Tang Yun saw that Lin Yi didn't reply. She knew that Lin Yi wanted revenge for her, but she was afraid that Lin Yi wasn't a match. Lin Yi didn't know that. Qibing was from the 4 big and 5 small houses. That sounded very scary. And that Zhao Qibing was related to a hidden house that was even more powerful than the 4 big and 5 small houses. How could Tang Yun not be nervous? She didn't need to be disfigured anymore, and naturally she wanted to be with him peacefully. She didn't want him to cause any more trouble. Lin Yi. Tang Yun was touched, but she was afraid that something would happen to Lin Yi. What would she do if something happened to Lin Yi? Ha! Lin Yi sneered. He should have considered the consequences before he touched you. Don't kill people. Tang Yun knew that Lin Yi was strong, and when he was angry he wouldn't care about the consequences. She was afraid that Lin Yi would cause trouble. She would rather not have Lin Yi stand up for her. Murder. Lin Yi was startled. In his heart, he had already blacklisted Master Bing, but Tang Yun's words reminded Lin Yi. If it were the old him, Qibing would have been nothing but a shrimp in his eyes, someone he could kill with a wave of his hand. There wouldn't be any consequences even if he was killed, but it was a little difficult to kill Zhao Qibing in front of everyone. However, even if he could avoid death, he couldn't escape punishment. There were many ways to turn someone into a living dead, and there was no need for Lin Yi to be wanted by the police just to kill Zhao Qibing. I won't kill him today. When Lin Yi said that, he already treated Zhao Qibing as a dead man. Even if he didn't die today, he would die in the future. However, Lin Yi wouldn't say that to Tang Yun. He said, "Let's see Uncle Tang first." Tang Yun sighed. She didn't understand the hidden meaning in Lin Yi's words, but she knew that Lin Yi wouldn't let Zhao Qibing go easily. However, would this cause trouble? Mrs. Tang accompanied Lin Yi to Tang Juqing's room. Mr. Tang knew that his daughter had broken up with Lin Yi, so he was surprised to see Lin Yi. However, seeing that Lin Yi was still as respectful as before, Tang Juqing found it strange. However, Mrs. Tang was here, so Tang Juqing didn't ask too much. He planned to ask about the details later. Lin Yi checked on Tang Juqing's condition. It was just a broken bone, but it was already connected. It was no big deal. However, Lin Yi quickly wrote down a prescription and gave it to Mrs. Tang. Get the medicine according to this prescription. Take it in the morning and night, 1 medicine a day, and you'll recover in a month. It's just a neurological problem. I need to get the medicine from my hometown. Okay. Mrs. Tang took the prescription carefully. She was very grateful to Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang had seen her daughter's miraculous ability to stop pain in an instant, so she trusted Lin Yi even more now. If Lin Yi said that it would be fine, then it must be fine. After saying goodbye to Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun, Lin Yi walked out of the hospital, but his face was dark. Although Lin Yi didn't know what the hidden house was, Lin Yi was never afraid of anyone. It didn't matter if they were from a hidden house or not. He would deal with Zhao Qibing first. Boss, the bulldozer and trenching machine are ready. I've also contacted the demolition team. Fatty Lai guessed what Lin Yi wanted to do. Lin Yi nodded. That completion ceremony, when does it start? 6 at night, Fatty Lai said. Oh, it's already started. Let's go. Lin Yi looked at the time on his phone. Fatty Lai didn't drive his own car. He got on Lin Yi's broken van. He had to give Lin Yi directions. As for the trenching machine, bulldozer, and the demolition team, Fatty Lai had already called them to be on standby near Qibing's skyscraper. Zhao Qibing had long forgotten about the unhappiness in the morning. Other than feeling that it was a pity that a girl as beautiful as a goddess had her face ruined, he didn't have any other thoughts. To him, the people in the slums were no different from ants. It was a piece of cake to stomp them to death. Right now he had more important things to do. Today was a big day for Qibing real estate. Chapter 583. Tit for tat. Among them were Jianghu, Taizhao, and the disciples of the 5 small noble houses. The 4 noble houses didn't live near Jiangshan, so they couldn't participate. However, one disciple from House Sun came. Wu Qintian was originally in Songshan as well, but old Wu had just been discharged from the hospital, so he had to deal with some family matters before coming back. But even so, it made the completion ceremony a lot more exciting. Jianghu, Taizhao, the disciples of the 5 small noble houses, House Sun. These people all had strong social connections, and so they brought a lot of people with them. The lobby of Qibing Hotel was already bustling with noise and excitement. Qibing stood on the stage, raising his glass high, very pleased with the current situation. These people represented the various powers in Songshan, and even the province. This meant that his business in Songshan would definitely be very successful in the future. Thank you everyone for coming to the completion ceremony of Qibing Real Estate's office building, Qibing Skyscraper. Let us raise our glasses and celebrate this joyous moment. Qibing raised his glass and continued, let us drink this glass of wine and open the Qibing Skyscraper together. The guests raised their glasses as well, drinking with Qibing. But at that moment, there was a sudden explosion that made everyone jump in fright. Following the loud noise was an earthquake that shook the mountains. Someone shouted, It's collapsing, the skyscraper outside is collapsing. Qibing looked towards the direction of the shout and saw that the newly completed skyscraper, which hadn't been opened yet, collapsed with a loud noise. There were many bulldozers and trenching machines around the skyscraper, not only destroying the facilities around it, but also the parking lot and landscaping around the skyscraper. In the blink of an eye, a 10,000-meter-tall skyscraper was flattened. Qibing's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost, but he quickly reacted. Someone was demolishing his skyscraper. Qibing couldn't care less about the guests and rushed out of the restaurant, but Uncle Zhu followed him closely. Lin Yi stood in between the skyscraper and the restaurant, watching coldly as Qibing's skyscraper was flattened. If you tear down Tang Yun's house, I'll tear down your skyscraper. Fatty Lai had been building for many years, but this was the first time he'd torn down a building that had just been built. Seeing a 10,000-meter-tall building collapse in an instant, he was overjoyed. Only Big Boss would be able to do something like this. Who are you? What are you doing? Qibing's eyes were about to spit fire. He didn't know where these people came from, but they were tearing down his newly built building the moment they arrived. How could Qibing not be hysterical? You're Zhao Qibing? Lin Yi looked at him coldly. That's right. Qibing took a deep breath, regaining his calmness. If the person in front of him knew who he was, then he should know who he was. Even then, they still dared to come and tear down his building. What was the meaning of that? Although Zhao Qibing wanted to tear Lin Yi's body into a million pieces right now, he was the one who made him look bad. The completion ceremony turned into a demolition ceremony. This made Zhao Qibing lose a lot of face. It was even more humiliating than before. I'm Tang Yun's boyfriend. Lin Yi nodded and said faintly, you destroyed her house, but you still owe me a pair of legs. I'll also disfigure your face. Tang Yun? Qibing froze, but after hearing Lin Yi say that he destroyed her house, disfigured her face and owed her a pair of legs, he knew who Lin Yi was talking about. Wasn't it the pretty girl he had his eyes on this morning? But Qibing didn't expect that Tang Yun had such a powerful boyfriend. These bulldozers and trenching machines couldn't be gathered by normal people in such a short amount of time. Lin Yi didn't give him a chance to speak. He walked towards him step by step. You won't live past this year. Uncle Zhu, kill him. Qibing didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes. Lin Yi had already made him lose all his face. If he didn't kill Lin Yi to vent his anger, then he wouldn't be able to raise his head in front of all these people. As for the consequences of killing Lin Yi, Qibing didn't need to think about it. These people knew his background and they wouldn't dare to say anything. Plus, these people's underlings weren't that clean, and they wouldn't expose Qibing. Lin Yi ignored Qibing and continued walking towards him. Uncle Zhu moved and slapped towards Lin Yi. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with a strange light as he blocked Uncle Zhu's attack with his palm. With a loud bang, Uncle Zhu took a few steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His breathing stagnated. Uncle Zhu looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Mystic class. This person was a mystic class as well. Lin Yi's throat felt sweet, but he didn't retreat. He continued to approach Qibing step by step. Qibing was dumbfounded as well. He knew how strong Uncle Zhu was. He was a mystic class master. It wasn't a common sight in the family, and it was precisely because of his father's love for him that he sent Uncle Zhu to take care of him. But a master like that was pushed back by Lin Yi with just one palm, and even made him spit blood? How was this possible? This young man in front of him wasn't even 20 years old, right? Uncle Zhu wanted to rush over to save Qibing, but he had just exchanged a palm strike with Lin Yi, and suffered quite a bit of internal injury. His breathing hadn't stabilized yet and he couldn't move at all. He couldn't even speak. Qibing was finally afraid. He was arrogant, but he wasn't an idiot. Someone who could push Uncle Zhu back was a piece of cake for him. He turned around, not caring about his face anymore. He wanted to run. However, Lin Yi stood in front of him. Leave your legs, Lin Yi said faintly. I'm a descendant of House Zhao, you can't do this. Qibing revealed his identity. My father is Zhao Guangyin. Who's Zhao Guangyin? I don't know him. Is he Zhao Guangyin's brother? Lin Yi slapped Qibing's head, making him look unrecognizable. Blood flowed from his face and he didn't know where he was injured. How strong was Lin Yi's strength? Zhao Qibing's head flipped and he fainted. But in the next moment, Zhao Qibing woke up again as he clearly felt the pain in his legs and the crisp sound of his bones breaking. Crack, crack, Qibing fainted again. Chapter 584. Lin Yi was injured. Let go of Master Bing. Uncle Zhu had finished adjusting his breathing and quickly stood in front of Lin Yi. Mystic early phase, I know your strength. Although you're stronger than me, I will protect Master Bing with my life. Lin Yi smiled coldly as he glanced at Master Bing on the ground, then at Uncle Zhu. I've done what I wanted to do. Let's leave Songshan City, or else I might remember what he did. Threat? This was a blatant threat. Uncle Zhu's face changed. Ever since he entered Mystic class, he had never been threatened by anyone. One had to know that in the common world, Mystic class masters were rare, but this young man in front of him, who looked less than 20 years old, had the strength of an early-phase Mystic class. Don't be too arrogant. With your strength you're not strong enough. But before Uncle Zhu could finish, Lin Yi had already turned around and left. Ignored. It was another blatant disregard. This made Uncle Zhu's face turn even uglier. However, he had no other choice. If he fought with Lin Yi, it was hard to say who would die. Uncle Zhu had no way to deal with him. What's more, he was like a crossbow that was forced to stand. He felt that he could fall to the ground at any time. Lin Yi got into the van. Fatty Lai, who was already waiting in the car, gave him a thumbs up. Boss, you're too awesome. You dared to cripple Zhao Qibing's legs in this situation. Drive. Lin Yi spat out a mouthful of blood onto the windshield of the van. He started coughing non-stop. Boss, what's wrong? Fatty Lai was shocked. He thought that Lin Yi was very powerful just now. Who knew that Lin Yi was injured? Drive, hurry and find a quiet place. Lin Yi panted as he ordered Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai nodded and didn't dare to delay. He quickly started the car and disappeared from the Qibing skyscraper. Fatty Lai wanted to send Lin Yi to the hospital, but on second thought, Lin Yi was a miracle doctor. Why would he go to the hospital? He naturally had his reasons for wanting her to go to a quieter place. With that in mind, Fatty Lai sped towards his villa. Lin Yi had been holding his breath until now. His only thought was to avenge Tang Yun. That was why he didn't show any signs of injury after taking Uncle Zhu's attack. He did want to do something to Zhao Qibing, but he couldn't take it anymore. Lin Yi didn't think that a bastard would have an early Mystic class master by his side. Were Mystic class masters too cheap, or were those hidden families too powerful? He had underestimated his opponent. He thought that he could kill Zhao Qibing this year, but he didn't. Making someone die slowly was Lin Yi's specialty. Lin Yi said that he wouldn't kill Zhao Qibing today, but that didn't mean that he wouldn't kill him tomorrow or in the future. Lin Yi felt an indescribable discomfort. His internal organs had shifted. An early-stage Mystic class master could be said to be on the same level as Lin Yi. It was just that Lin Yi practiced the art of dragon mastery, so he was able to take the hit and break Zhao Qibing's legs. Uncle Zhu, on the other hand, almost fainted. When they reached Fatty Lai's villa, Fatty Lai didn't bother to lock his car. In fact, he wouldn't lose his car even if he didn't lock it. Fatty Lai helped Lin Yi back to the villa, and Fatty Lai's wife jumped in fright. She wanted to ask something, but Fatty Lai glared back at her. Fatty Lai helped Lin Yi into the guest room. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Guard the door, don't let anyone disturb me. Yes, boss. Fatty Lai nodded and closed the door for Lin Yi. Lin Yi fell onto the bed and entered the jade space. Only by absorbing a large amount of pure energy could he recover quickly. Fortunately, he had this treasure. If it was a normal person, they would die without any elixirs in the outside world. In fact, Uncle Zhu felt like he was about to die. It was only after Lin Yi left that Sihua dared to run over. He knew how strong Lin Yi was after all. Even 2 golden class masters had fallen to his hands. He didn't know how strong this Uncle Zhu was, but the fact that he was with Master Bing meant that he was stronger than the 2 golden class masters from before. Could he be a Mystic class master? Sihua didn't dare imagine. Someone as strong as him was beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Lin Yi? What kind of strength did Lin Yi have? Master Bing, how are you? Sihua ran over to check on Qibing's injuries. After all, it was fine if Uncle Zhu died, but if Qibing died it would be a huge problem. Master Bing is fine, just a broken leg. I can't hold on anymore, call the head and ask Yao Wang to save me. Uncle Zhu knew his situation. If he didn't have elixirs and relied on his own recovery, he would die in a few days. Sihua jumped in fright, quickly dialing up the house head's number after hearing Uncle Zhu's words. Jianghu, Taizao, and the others who were watching from the back were also shocked at Lin Yi's boldness. He dared to hurt someone in public. Of course, Jianghu, Taizao, and the others, including Sihua, didn't know Uncle Zhu's true strength. Jianghu, Taizao, and the others would be shocked if they knew that Uncle Zhu was a mystic, right? This Lin Yi was too strong, defeating a Mystic class master in one hit? They didn't see that Lin Yi was injured, so they thought that Uncle Zhu was just a useless bodyguard. But at this moment, no one dared to come over. Everyone knew about Master Bing's mysterious background, so wouldn't they embarrass Master Bing even more? Wouldn't they be asking for trouble? The completion ceremony of Qibing's skyscraper had become a joke. Completion? What completion? The house had already been demolished by others. Sihua didn't think that Lin Yi would be this ruthless. Not only did he bring people to demolish Qi Bing's skyscraper, but he even broke Master Bing's legs. How could this person be so unscrupulous? Sihua thought that he was already a very domineering person in Songshan, but compared to Lin Yi he was still a far cry. Thinking back to the time when he threatened Lin Yi, Sihua couldn't help but feel a little scared. If Lin Yi really wanted to make things difficult for him, then the floating cloud bar would be gone, wouldn't it? Sihua sighed. It seemed that he had underestimated this opponent too much. This Lin Yi was someone that Peng Zhan could find, so he was obviously not an ordinary person. Chapter 585. What's the matter? Oh little Li, what's up? It was the deep male voice that came from the other side of the phone. This person was Zhao Guangyin, the young master of House Zhao. Behind him was the old man of House Zhao, which was why Guangyin didn't dare to openly acknowledge Zhao Qibing as his illegitimate son. Boss, it's bad. Master Bing's face and legs were broken. Uncle Zhu was injured as well, and Qibing's skyscraper was destroyed. Sihua couldn't hide the shock in his heart as he spoke. There was a moment of silence on the other side of the phone, followed by Guangyin's incredulous voice. What did you say? Little Bing's legs were broken and Mr. Zhu was injured? How is that possible? Mr. Zhu is an early-phase mystic class master. It's rare even in the common world. Are you having a fever? How could little Bing become enemies with someone like that? Early-phase mystic class? Sihua's mouth opened wide in shock once more. He knew that Uncle Zhu was very strong. After all, Master Bing's men couldn't be weaker than the 2 golden class masters Guangyin sent to him, right? But now that he heard Guangyin say that Uncle Zhu was an early-phase mystic class master, Sihua was shocked once more. Someone as strong as him was injured so badly by Lin Yi's attack that he couldn't take it anymore? What kind of existence was Lin Yi? Was he stronger than an early-phase mystic class master? Give me the phone, I'll talk to the master. Uncle Zhu started channeling his practitioner's arts, adjusting his breathing and recovering some of his stamina as he signaled to Sihua. Sihua hurriedly passed the phone to Uncle Zhu. Guangyin would only believe Uncle Zhu's words. In fact, Sihua didn't believe that a 19-year-old boy like Lin Yi could defeat Uncle Zhu. This world was too crazy, or were mystic class masters so worthless? Mr. Zhu, on Guangyin. How are you? Guangyin still couldn't believe that Uncle Zhu was injured. It was too unbelievable. He had only been in Songshan for a few days. How did Qibing meet such a strong opponent? To be able to injure a mystic class master, he must be a reclusive old geezer, right? These old fellows were all pursuing greater strength. So how could they have the mind to pay attention to the trivial matters of the secular world? Patriarch, it's me. I can only hold on for 2 more days. I've suffered internal injuries. Please ask the Medicine King to save me. Uncle Zhu's tone was very weak. Without any miraculous pills and medicines, the natural energy of nature is not enough to heal my injuries. What? It was only after hearing Uncle Zhu's words that Guangyin completely believed Sihua's words. Uncle Zhu was injured. Moreover, his injuries were not light. But hearing that Uncle Zhu could still hold on for 2 more days, Zhao Guangyin let out a sigh of relief. He was glad that Uncle Zhu could recover. Uncle Zhu was only in his 40s, and he was one of the most promising experts in the family to advance into the Earth class. If he really died like this and it was because of his illegitimate son, then his position as the head of the family would be shaken. Zhao Guangyin took a deep breath and asked, "How is Xiao Bing?" Master Bing doesn't have any fatal injuries. Both his legs are broken and his face is disfigured. But with Yao Wang personally treating him, there shouldn't be any side effects, Uncle Zhu said. That's good. Hearing that his son was fine, Zhao Guangyin finally let out a sigh of relief. I'll ask Yao Wang to go over right now. Also, I want to know the cause of this incident and what happened. I'll let Sihua tell you about this. Uncle Zhu didn't know much about the cause and what happened because he didn't need to know. His duty was to protect Master Bing's safety, and as for the company's operations, he didn't care. So until now, Uncle Zhu still didn't know how Zhao Qibing made such a big enemy. One had to know that a mystic class master, although the hidden noble houses wouldn't pay attention to him, but in the secular world, in the 4 big and 5 small noble houses, he was an extremely powerful existence. He was someone who could do whatever he wanted, and all the heads of the noble houses had to give face to him. How many days had it been since Zhao Qibing came to Songshan? How many days had he created such a strong opponent? Although that person was at the early phase of mystic class, the same strength as Uncle Zhu could feel that Lin Yi's practice was much purer than his. Under the situation where they were at the same level, he wouldn't be able to fight against Lin Yi. If he knew that Lin Yi had just entered the mystic class 2 days ago and hadn't consolidated his strength yet, Uncle Zhu would probably vomit blood again. He had been in the mystic class for almost 10 years, and he had only reached the peak of the early phase of mystic class, and was advancing towards the mid-phase of mystic class. Sihua took the phone. He knew that Uncle Zhu and Master Bing were fine for the time being, so he wasn't that worried anymore. He started from Zhao Qibing's demolition of the slums, how he fell in love with Lin Yi's girlfriend, and how he destroyed Tang Yun's house, injuring Tang Yun and Tang Juqing. After that, he followed Lin Yi to take revenge. Of course, Sihua hated Lin Yi very much. Back then, the 2 golden class masters by his side died in Lin Yi's hands, so there was no new master in place. This made Sihua lose his confidence even when he went out. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Moreover, what annoyed him the most was that if it wasn't for Lin Yi, a part of Pingzhan Industries would have become Master Bing's property. Why would he and Jin Gubang invest to build a new building for Master Bing, the headquarters of Qibing Real Estate? Boss, the 2 golden class masters who were with me were killed by this kid. We can't let him get away with it. Sihua added after he was done narrating the story. Boss, the 2 golden class masters with me were killed by this kid. We can't let him go. If it wasn't for him, we would have gotten the real estate company we gave to Master Bing a long time ago, and maybe Pingzhan Industries would have been ours as well. But this kid stopped us and now he injured Master Bing and Uncle Zhu. We can't let him go. At first, Sihua thought that Guanyin would be furious, but this time Guanyin was very calm. His voice was calm as well. This Lin Yi, let's not provoke him for now. Let's wait for Yao Wang to go and test him first. Although Guanyin was furious, he wasn't an idiot. If Lin Yi could injure Uncle Zhu, it meant that he had reached mystic class. But what did a 20-year-old mystic class master represent? Qibing didn't believe that Lin Yi was someone who trained himself. Chapter 586. House Zhao's head. So, Lin Yi probably had a huge family backing him, but which hidden house did he come from? In order to deal with Lin Yi, he had to get to the bottom of Lin Yi's background. He couldn't act recklessly. If Lin Yi really was a master nurtured by a hidden house and was killed by him, then that hidden house would go all out against House Zhao. Mystic at 20, his future was limitless. He might even reach the late phase of Earth class or even Sky class. If House Zhao killed him, then Lin Yi's family would go crazy. But they couldn't rule out the possibility that Lin Yi was just lucky, or maybe he ate some miraculous elixir, or maybe he broke through on his own. If that was the case, then they could just kill Lin Yi right away. It was the first time Sihua heard the head of the house speak in such a tone. He paused for a moment but still replied, "All right, I understand." The ambulance came, and Sihua sent Master Bing and Uncle Zhu to the hospital for some simple treatment. Then he waited for Yao Wang to come personally. Guanyin, on the other hand, put down the phone and sighed. He stood up with a serious expression, walked out of the room and walked towards an independent villa. "Young master, you're here." Guanyin was stopped by an old man the moment he arrived at the door. The old man spoke politely, but he didn't seem to have any intention of letting Guanyin in. "Elder Bai, I'm here to see my father." Guanyin didn't mind at all. Instead, he spoke respectfully to the old man. This was because Elder Bai was one of the few masters left in House Zhao, a guard of House Zhao. He was Guanyin's father's right-hand man. He was single, unmarried, and had no children. He stayed by Guanyin's father's side even when he was old, being a responsible right-hand man. "Please wait a moment, young master. I'll report to the head of the house." Elder Bai nodded and went back into the villa, while Guanyin stood at the door respectfully, not daring to do anything. After a while, Elder Bai came out again and nodded to Guanyin. "Young leader, the leader wants you in." In actuality, Zhao Guanyin was already the head of the Zhao family. Old Zhao had stepped down from the position a few years ago to focus on cultivation. But in Elder Bai's eyes, Old Zhao would always be the head of the Zhao family, and Guanyin was just the young head. However, Zhao Guanyin didn't have any other thoughts about this form of address. After all, although he was the head of the family, there were many situations where he had to ask his father for instructions. He could use the mystic class masters in the family, but earth class masters like Elder Bai he couldn't. Zhao Guanyin respectfully entered the villa and saw that his father was already sitting in the living room, quietly sipping on a cup of tea. Zhao Guanyin hurriedly bowed and said, "Father." "Yes, what do you need me for?" Old Zhao had always been focused on cultivation, looking for the opportunity to break through to earth class. He didn't really care about the family's business anymore, and unless it was something big, Guanyin wouldn't bother him. In actuality, the hidden noble houses didn't care about the common world's business. Although they had some companies and representatives in the common world, They weren't as powerful as the 4 great worlds and the 5 small noble houses. These people were just there to make money for the family, and they didn't need much in terms of material needs. With the wealth they had accumulated over the generations, they didn't even need to run a company outside to survive. Running a company outside meant that they didn't want to run out of money, so they used the profits to keep the family afloat. They didn't want to touch the family business if they could. That was the only way to ensure the family's prosperity. The most important thing was that the hidden noble houses had an agreement with each other to not get involved in the common world's business. Otherwise, the common world would be filled with Wulian masters, and the rules would be messed up. If they all came out, would the noble houses still have a way out? Plus, they pursued the highest level of martial arts, and their desire was to reach the peak and live forever. They had no interest in the outside world. Dad Lil Bing's legs were crippled and Mr. Zhu was seriously injured. Zhao Guangyin naturally had to report such a big matter to the old master. Old Zhao's eyes flashed. Lil Zhu is a mystic early phase, right? How did he get injured? Other than the Yu branch, who else in the common world would have a master like that? Old Zhao's words were like a wake-up call. Guangyin suddenly remembered that his wife's family was House Yu, wasn't it? Could it be that his wife found out that he had a bastard son outside and sent someone to deal with Zhao Qibing? Qibing's face changed at the thought and he started to get nervous. Could it be House Yu? Did Yu Xiaojin find out about Lil Bing? Yu Xiaojin was Qibing's wife, a member of House Yu. She was the youngest daughter of House Yu, and old Yu loved her dearly. It was possible that it was Yu Xiaojin who did it. Xiaojin knew about Lil Bing a long time ago. She didn't cause trouble with you because she's a sensible person. If you didn't bring Zhao Qibing back, she'd turn a blind eye to it. As for sending someone to deal with Lil Bing, that's impossible. Old Zhao said, unless Lil Bing threatens her son's position, which is your youngest son. So it's not House Yu? Guangyin paused, not expecting his wife to know about Zhao Qibing. He thought she didn't know. He couldn't help but smile bitterly at the thought. The women of House Yu were really not simple. It was a marriage of mutual benefit, but she'd been gentle and polite all these years, taking care of his daily life. It was hard to imagine that she used to be the daughter of House Yu. I didn't say that. Old Yu isn't someone who likes to lose out, and he loves Xiaojin the most. It's possible that he'd send someone to deal with Lil Bing for Xiaojin. Old Zhao shook his head. Don't put too much hope on Lil Bing. I don't think he's a spoiled young master. Of course, our Zhao family won't be bullied so easily. I understand this matter. Spread the word and put a bounty on this person's head among all the hidden families. If other families speak up, then consider it. If no one says anything, then that means this person isn't from a hidden family. Chapter 587. The girl from House Yu. Of course, if no one cared, then House Zhao would be able to kill Lin Yi without a care in the world. But Guangyin was more inclined to believe that it was House Yu who did it. How could it be so coincidental? Qibing went to a small slum area in Songshan to demolish a house, and he was able to find a mystic class master. Weren't there too many masters in this world? Guangyin didn't believe that there wasn't a reason behind this, so he decided to tell Xiaojin about it when he got back. After all, Xiaojin already knew about Qibing's situation, and she was Qibing's aunt. Even if House Yu did it, they'd have to give an explanation. Guangyin said goodbye to Elder Zhao and returned to his villa. He found his wife Xiaojin and told her about Zhao Qibing. Of course, Guangyin was very sincere in admitting the mistakes he made when he was young and begging for his wife's forgiveness. Xiaojin didn't say anything, only smiling as she listened to her husband. She shook her head. I knew about Qibing a long time ago. I just wanted to see when you would be honest with me. Not only me but my father knows as well, so I don't think it's us who did it. If we wanted to teach him a lesson, we would have done it long ago. Guangyin pretended to be surprised and moved to tears. Xiaojin, so you knew about it all along. I really don't know what to say. Our marriage was for the family's benefit, but after all these years, we've developed feelings for each other and we have a child. I don't want to dwell on the past, but I have one condition, and that is that your child cannot return to House Zhao. Xiaojin made it very clear. He won't, Guangyin promised. As for whether or not that Lin Yi is from House Yu, I'll ask Big Brother for you, Xiaojin said. Zhao Guangyin let out a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't someone from House Yu, everything would be fine. House Yu was one of the strongest hidden houses. Who would have thought that the abandoned bastard of House Yu, one of the 4 great houses of the common world, would actually rebuild House Yu, turning the head of the 4 great houses of the common world, House Yu. It seemed like a joke, but it was the truth. Of course, it was said that this bastard, Yu Xiaojin's father, had a fortuitous encounter that allowed him to break through Earth class and become a Sky class. That was more than 10 years ago. No one knew how strong he was now. As for what was above the heaven rank, only that mysterious man whose name had once shaken the world knew. House U was the envy of all the houses, but it was also a mountain that couldn't be imitated or surpassed. Who asked them to be so lucky? Lin Yi's arrest warrant was quickly sent out. Of course, it was only limited to the hidden aristocratic families. As for the 4 great aristocratic families and the 5 small aristocratic families, Zhao Guangyin didn't even bother to ask. Those aristocratic families in the common world couldn't possibly have a master like Lin Yi. It was a place with verdant hills and limpid waters, with several European-style ancient castles standing tall. A fairy-like girl sat in front of the window, drawing something on a drawing board. Sometimes she frowned and sometimes she smiled. Hearing the sound of footsteps coming from the door, the girl quickly closed the drawing board in her hand and combed the hair in front of her forehead, trying to make her expression normal. Just as she turned around, the door of the room was pushed open. The girl's heart tightened and the corner of her mouth curled up beautifully. 2 dimples appeared on her rosy cheeks. "Brother, why didn't you knock again? Hey, didn't you leave the door unlocked?" A handsome boy casually walked into the room and said with a smile, "Huh? Little sister, why is your face so red? Don't tell me you're fantasizing again?" The girl frowned. "Brother, what are you saying? That's so bad. Let me see what you're drawing." The boy jumped in front of the girl in a few steps, trying to snatch the drawing board from the girl's table. The girl was shocked and she grabbed the drawing board tightly, not letting the boy take it. However, she wasn't as strong as the boy and she couldn't help but get angry. "Let go." The boy didn't let go and pulled on the drawing board with all his might. The girl was afraid that he would ruin the work she had been working on for almost a month, and could only let go. However, her beautiful eyes were filled with anger as she glared at the boy. "Ah, you dare say you're not fantasizing? Look, they're holding hands." "Ah." The boy laughed. "None of your business." The girl grabbed the drawing back from the boy's hand when he wasn't paying attention, and closed the drawing board. It was a very beautiful sketch. On the drawing, a young girl and a man were holding hands as they ran happily on a grassland filled with birds and fragrant flowers. That young girl was herself. "Little sister, Dad received a call just now and I think he mentioned someone's name." The boy looked at the girl with a smile. The girl's heart tightened but she said, "Who? What does it have to do with me? If you don't want to know, then forget it. Pretend I never came." With that, the boy turned around and walked out. "Brother, tell me, what did Dad say?" The girl was panicking and she stared at the boy. "If you don't tell me, I won't talk to you anymore. Dad received a call just now and it seemed like Andy asked if there was a person named Linny in our house. That's all I heard, I don't know anything else." The boy quickly said what he heard. "Andy? She called Dad?" The girl was startled, not understanding why Auntie would suddenly ask about this. "What did Dad say?" "Dad said he doesn't know." The boy shrugged. "Even if he does know, he'll pretend he doesn't know." The girl really wanted to call her Auntie right now, but that would make things even more complicated. In the end, she put down the phone and said softly, "Brother, help me." "Of course I'll help," the boy said with a smile. "Lin Yi is my bro, and I want him to be my brother-in-law too. Don't worry, leave it to me. I'll continue to ask around for you." Fatty Lai anxiously stood guard in front of Lin Yi's room, not knowing how Lin Yi was doing. He didn't dare to go in and ask, afraid that he would disturb Lin Yi's recovery. "Old Lai, who's inside? Why are you so nervous? Why did you bring strangers into our house?" Fatty Lai's wife looked at Fatty Lai and asked curiously. "What do you know? That's my boss. I'm following him now." Fatty Lai glared at his wife. "Shut up and get me something to eat, I'm starving." Chapter 588. Chapter 588. Miss Phone Wife Lai was afraid of the responsibility, so she reminded him. However, Fatty Lai was adamant, so she didn't say anything else. In fact, Fatty Lai was a smart man. Wife Lai knew that he wouldn't bring a dying person back for no reason. Fatty Lai paced back and forth in front of Lin Yi's door. Wife Lai quickly brought a bowl of noodles. Fatty Lai took 2 bites and Lin Yi's phone rang. Fatty Lai looked at the caller ID. It was Tang Yun. He quickly picked up the phone. "Hello, sister-in-law." "Fatty Lai? Where's Lin? Why isn't he picking up?" Tang Yun was very worried about Lin Yi's safety. Lin Yi hadn't come back after a few hours. He didn't even call. How could she not be worried? The two of them had just resolved their misunderstanding. They were stuck together like glue. Tang Yun wanted Lin Yi to come back quickly and stay by her side. Fatty Lai hesitated. Boss is fine. He's a little tired. He wants to sleep for a while. Sleep for a while? Tang Yun froze. She felt that something was wrong. Fatty Lai, tell me. What's wrong with Linny? Wake him up. Sister-in-law, boss is really tired. He just wants to rest for a while. Fatty Lai didn't want to lie to Tang Yun, but Linny had told him not to tell Tang Yun. Fatty Lai was in a difficult position. He didn't know how to answer Tang Yun. After all, Tang Yun and Linny had a special relationship. A normal reason wouldn't work. Fatty Lai, if you don't tell me the truth, I won't let Linny talk to you anymore. Tang Yun threatened anxiously. Hey! Fatty Lai screamed. He was troubled. Although Linny didn't tell him to tell Tang Yun used Linny to threaten him. Fatty Lai didn't know what to do. He's fine. Don't forget that boss is a miracle doctor. He's healing. Lin Yi's injured? Tang Yin asked, startled. Where are you guys now? He's at my house. Don't worry, sister-in-law. I'll tell Lin Yi to call you back when he wakes up. Fatty Lai explained. No, I'll go over now. Where's your house? Tang Yun panicked. Lin Yi was injured because of her. How could Tang Yun not visit Lin Yi? All right. Fatty Lai couldn't refuse, so he agreed. I'll get my wife to pick you up. It's late and I'm worried. Then, I'll be troubling you. Tang Yun didn't want to be polite with Fatty Lai anymore. After all, it was related to Lin Yi's safety. Tang Yun didn't want to argue too much. The car number is Song A1234A, a red Porsche. Fatty Lai told Tang Yun his wife's car number. He didn't want Tang Yun to get into the wrong car. After hanging up the phone, Fatty Lai called his wife over and asked her to pick up Tang Yun. Although his wife was confused, she didn't ask much. She went to the garage to get the car and drove to the hospital. From her point of view, someone that Fatty Lai paid so much attention to must be someone important. However, just when Tang Yun hung up, Lin Yi's phone rang again. Fatty Lai picked it up and froze when he saw the caller ID. Because what was written on it was eldest miss. Who was miss? Fatty Lai didn't know what was going on. If Lin Yi called her miss, she must be someone important. Fatty Lai quickly picked up the phone. Lin Yi, where did you go? Why aren't you back yet? My daddy is here. Under normal circumstances, Meng Yao wouldn't ask about Lin Yi's whereabouts. But today Lin Yi ran away without telling her. Meng Yao was unhappy. Besides, her father was here. He wanted to have dinner with Lin Yi. It was a way to thank Lin Yi for saving her. Peng Zhan's company was very busy. He only had time tonight. He asked Faubert to prepare some food from the restaurant and planned to have a drink with Lin Yi. But after waiting for a long time, Lin Yi didn't come back. Meng Yao asked Meng Yao to call him. If it was any other time, Meng Yao would ask Yushu to make the call. But her father was here, so she called him herself. Fatty Lai heard Meng Yao's tone and jumped in fright. Who was this miss? How dare she talk to Lin Yi like this? Moreover, who was her father? Why did she ask Lin Yi to have dinner with her? Could she be Lin Yi's boss? Her tone confused Fatty Lai a little. He didn't know who the miss was. I'm sorry. I'm not Lin Yi. Fatty Lai said carefully. You're not Lin Yi? Where's Lin Yi? Meng Yao asked curiously. It wasn't Lin Yi. May I know who you are? Fatty Lai wanted to confirm the miss's identity before deciding if he should tell the truth. I'm Lin Yi's. I'm his boss. Meng Yao thought about it for a long time. She couldn't figure out her relationship with Lin Yi. So, she came up with the term boss. And who are you? Fatty Lai jumped when he heard that it was Lin Yi's boss. Lin Yi's boss. Wasn't that his boss's boss? Fatty Lai quickly said, Hello, boss. Boss? What's that? Meng Yao didn't know what was going on. Lin Yi's my boss, so you're my boss's boss. Naturally, your boss. Fatty Lai explained. Oh, I don't care who you are. I'm looking for Lin Yi. Meng Yao was confused by Fatty Lai's words. Boss. He's injured. Fatty Lai said. He's healing now. What? Lin Yi's injured? Meng Yao was shocked. How did Lin Yi get injured? He couldn't help but feel nervous and anxious. What's going on? Is he all right? I don't know. He coughed up blood. He's healing in his room now. I don't dare go in. Fatty Lai replied carefully. Since the person was Lin Yi's boss, he didn't dare lie. Fatty Lai couldn't be blamed for believing Meng Yao's identity. After all, Lin Yi had the name Miss on his phone. Coughed up blood. Meng Yao's heart tightened. She had never felt so worried before. She said anxiously, Where are you? I'll be there right away. It's so late. Should I get a car to pick you up? Fatty Lai didn't dare to delay. After all, he was the boss's boss. I have a car. Meng Yao interrupted Fatty Lai. Where is it? Hurry up. Chapter 589. The Miss and Tang Yun. Mengyao didn't say anything and hung up the phone. Mengyao was panicking. Other than her parents and her best friend, Yushu, she'd never been this worried about anyone before. Fatty Lai said that Lin Yi was injured and even vomited blood. Mengyao's heart was in a mess. Even if she had some complaints about Lin Yi, it all turned into worry at this moment. Dad, Lin Yi's injured. I have to go check on him. Mengyao said to Pengzhan and pulled Yushu out. Pengzhan wanted to go check on Lin Yi when he heard that he was injured, but he hesitated when he saw his daughter's anxious expression. He sat back down and said, "Be careful on the road." Pengzhan was quite satisfied with his daughter's relationship with Lin Yi. It seemed that his daughter's care for Lin Yi was more than just that of a follower. Yushu was eating a sweet potato. It was a hot dish and it wouldn't taste good if she didn't eat it while it was hot. Although Lin Yi wasn't here yet, that was Yushu's personality. No one would say anything if she started eating first. "Oh, Yao sis, why are you pulling me?" Yushu had just stuffed a piece of sweet potato into her mouth when Mengyao pulled her. She almost choked to death. Her eyes rolled back. She was busy eating in the dining room and didn't hear the conversation between Mengyao and Pengzhan in the living room. "Your shield bro's injured. Are you going to check on him?" Mengyao glared at her. How could she eat so much? Why wasn't she fat? Or did her muscles grow to her breast? She was quite envious of her physique. I'll go. How did shield bro get injured?" Yushu was shocked when she heard that. She ran out with Mengyao. "I don't know." Mengyao shook her head and went to the garage to get her Audi S5. She drove Yushu to lead shore. Behind them, Falbert's Bentley also followed. Falbert and Pengzhan followed behind, worried that something might happen to the two girls in the middle of the night. Still, they wouldn't go see Lin Yi with them. Qianhua Waterfront District wasn't too far from Mingyao's villa. Although he called later, he reached Fatty Lai's house first. Fatty Lai's wife, on the other hand, had to rush to the First People's Hospital from the Qianhua Shuian District to the First People's Hospital. Naturally, she would be slower. Lai Chang'e? Mengyao recognized Fatty Lai as soon as she entered. Although she didn't know many people, she had attended many famous entrepreneurs' parties with her father. She remembered the names of some of the more powerful bosses in Songshan. Lai Chang'e was one of them. Plus, his fat body left a deep impression on Mengyao. "You your big boss? You know me?" Fatty Lai was pleasantly surprised. Having a good relationship with Big Boss would benefit him in the future. "My name is Mengyao." "What Big Boss? Sounds terrible." Mengyao frowned. "Where's Lin Yi?" Fatty Lai pointed at a closed door. "He's inside but he won't let me in. He asked me to guard the door for him." "What's going on?" Mengyao was worried about Lin Yi, but since Lin Yi didn't let others in, she couldn't just push the door open. It wouldn't be good if she helped and made things worse. Fatty Lai didn't dare to hide anything. He told her about how Lin Yi helped Tang Yun get revenge. From his point of view, Mengyao was Lin Yi's boss. She should know about Lin Yi's girlfriend. Tang Yun? Mengyao heard that Lin Yi was injured because he was avenging Tang Yun, and she felt uncomfortable. "What? You're my shield, yet you're taking revenge for another girl and you're even injured. Have you ever asked for my permission? Did I allow you to go?" This Tang Yun was too much. Most importantly, didn't Lin Yi break up with Tang Yun? She turned to Yushu. "The spy, Shu 007, didn't you say that Lin Yi broke up with Tang Yun?" Ugh. Yushu heard it from someone else. She was unhappy when she heard that Lin Yi got injured because of Tang Yun. If it was for Yao sis it would be fine. But for another girl she pouted. Looking at Yushu's face, Mengyao knew that there was something wrong with her source. She glared at her and didn't ask any more. The more she thought about it, the more uncomfortable she felt. She wanted to see how Lin Yi was but she couldn't. She could only stand in front of the door. Fatty Lai saw that Mengyao didn't say anything. He didn't dare to reply. He stood beside Mengyao carefully, waiting for her orders. After a while, the sound of a car came from outside the villa. It was followed by the sound of the door opening. A girl stumbled into the villa. Who else could it be if it wasn't Tang Yun? Tang Yun ran out from the bed directly. She didn't even change out of the hospital gown. Her head was still wrapped in bandages. She followed Fatty Lai's wife. Beside her was Lu Xinwen. "Fatty Lai, how's Lin Yi? Where is he?" Tang Yun rushed over. Although Mengyao and Yushu were there, she ignored them. In her eyes, there was only Lin Yi's safety. It was good enough that she could see Fatty Lai. "He won't die." Mengyao snorted before Fatty Lai could speak. When she saw Tang Yun, her heart was filled with rage. Lin Yi was injured because of Tang Yun, so she didn't like Tang Yun at all. Seeing Tang Yun stumbling over, she was a little angry. but Meng Yao forgot that she was the same when she came in. Ah. Tang Yun saw Meng Yao and Yushu beside Fatty Lai. As one of the 3 campus beauties, Tang Yun naturally knew the other 2. She even talked to Yushu before. How could she not know them? Fatty Lai, how's Linny? Where is he? Tang Yun ran over hurriedly. Although Meng Yao and Yushu were there, she ignored them. In her eyes, there was only Lin Yi's safety. It was good enough that she could see Fatty Lai. He won't die. Meng Yao snorted before Fatty Lai could speak. When she saw Tang Yun, her heart was filled with rage. Lin Yi was injured because of Tang Yun, so she didn't like Tang Yun at all. Seeing Tang Yun stumbling over, she was a little angry. But Meng Yao forgot that she was the same when she came in. Chapter 590. The defense of love. From the looks of it, they were here for Lin Yi as well. She asked hesitantly, "You guys?" Meng Yao was about to say something when Yushu blinked her eyes and stepped in front of Meng Yao. "Let me introduce you, Yao Yao sis, she's Shield Bro's girlfriend." Shield Bro? Oh. Tang Yun didn't quite understand what Yushu meant. Shield Bro, naturally it's Lin Yi, haha. Yushu smiled slyly. Lin Yi? Girlfriend? Tang Yun's eyes widened. She was Lin Yi's girlfriend, okay? How did Meng Yao become Lin Yi's girlfriend? What was going on? If Xiao Xiao was here, Tang Yun could understand, but Meng Yao and Yushu were the 2 of them. She couldn't believe it. How did Lin Yi get involved with them? Meng Yao glared at Yushu, but the word girlfriend didn't resent her at all. Quite the contrary, it gave her a strange feeling. She didn't want to reject it. "Hello, I'm Meng Yao, Lin Yi's fiancé." Meng Yao elegantly extended her hand towards Tang Yun, raising her arrogant head and looking down at Tang Yun. At this moment, the eldest Miss Innate Nobility was displayed to the fullest. Tang Yun looked at Meng Yao surprised. Lin Yi's fiancé? Tang Yun wasn't used to this. This was too sudden. She was Lin Yi's fiancé? Meng Yao was the famous miss of the school, the daughter of the chairman. She had a relationship with Lin Yi? Although surprised, Tang Yun still held Meng Yao's hand stubbornly. "I'm Tang Yun, Lin Yi's girlfriend. Why didn't I hear Lin Yi mention that he has a fiancé?" Seeing Meng Yao's attitude, Tang Yun was convinced. If the woman in front of her had nothing to do with Lin Yi, she wouldn't be here right now. However, she didn't believe that she was Lin Yi's fiancé. She'd just been tricked by Xiao Xiao, and her vigilance was high. How could she be tricked so easily? Even if the opponent was an arrogant miss, Tang Yun started to fight back. This was the first time she fought to defend her love. She didn't want to misunderstand Lin Yi again because of some groundless things. "I've heard of you," Meng Yao said faintly. It had to be said that Meng Yao's words had taken the upper hand. She showed that her relationship with Lin Yi was closer than Tang Yun's relationship with Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't hide anything from her, but Lin Yi hid something from Tang Yun. "Is that so? Since you've heard of me, then you should know that my relationship with Lin Yi is recognized by the school. Since when did you become Lin Yi's fiancé?" Tang Yun's words were sharp. She didn't fight before because she didn't want to, and she didn't need to fight for anything. But the feeling of losing Lin Yi these past few days wasn't a good one, torturing Tang Yun. Plus, with Meng Yao's words, Tang Yun straightened her back. She was Lin Yi's girlfriend. This was recognized. Tang Yun's words made it hard for Meng Yao to reply. She argued with Tang Yun because she wanted to win, but she had never been in a relationship with Lin Yi. She felt guilty instinctively. Seeing Tang Yun being so aggressive, she didn't know how to deal with it. However, she didn't want to admit defeat. She'd said it before, so how could she back down? What's wrong with that? Yao Yao sis and Shield Bro's relationship was arranged by the family. There's no need to tell others. Isn't that right, Yao Yao sis? Although Yushu would usually quarrel with Meng Yao, the 2 of them were on the same side right now. When there was an enemy, they would stand together to fight together. She put her hands on her waist and stood in front of Meng Yao. Arranged by the family? Tang Yun froze. Indeed, marriage between rich families wasn't a rare thing. If Yushu said it, it was possible. After all, Meng Yao's identity was there. If she didn't have a relationship with Lin Yi, why would she argue with her? Yeah, you don't know, right? Shield Bro and Yao Yao sis are developing fast. They've even kissed. Yushu looked at Tang Yun and said proudly, "How about it? You guys haven't kissed yet, right?" Yushu's words shocked both Meng Yao and Tang Yun. Although Meng Yao was surprised, she didn't show it. She looked at Tang Yun proudly as if she agreed with Yushu's words. "What? Why not? We've kissed before." Tang Yun looked at Yushu and said word by word, "We often kiss." Tang Yun was talking about the promise they made when they rescued the hostage in the hospital. Although they haven't carried it out yet, Tang Yun thought that it should be about the same. So she didn't want to be outdone. Lu Xinwen followed Tang Yun here, but she didn't know what was going on. She knew Mengyao and Yushu. She knew that these two were the prettiest girls in the school. But their words shocked Lu Xinwen. Of course, what shocked her even more was Tang Yun's words. Tang Yun and Lin Yi kissed? Lu Xinwen had been trying to find out how far Tang Yun and Lin Yi had progressed, but there was no progress. Today, Tang Yun's self-exposure made Lu Xinwen sigh. So these two had reached this stage without saying a word. Oh, kissing isn't that big of a deal. Shield Bro often hugs Yao Yao Sis and touches her chest. Yushu released even more explosive news when she heard that Tang Yun had kissed Lin Yi. Mengyao wanted to say that Lin Yi had never touched her chest before. But she knew that Yushu was fighting for her face, so Mengyao silently agreed to Yushu's words. Lin Yi touched my chest too. Tang Yun panicked. She subconsciously puffed out her chest. His chest isn't as big as mine. It's not easy to touch. Tang Yun would never say something like this under normal circumstances. But even a rabbit will bite when it's cornered. Tang Yun was forced into a corner by Mengyao and Yushu, so she didn't care about what she said. The words almost came out of her mouth. After saying it, even Tang Yun was shocked. Was this something she said? How could she be so shameless? How could she compare whose chest was easier to touch with other girls? How shameless was that? Lu Xinwen's eyes widened. Was this the good girl she knew? How could this be? This was crazy. Both of them started to touch breasts? Chapter 591. Chapter 591. Super Yushu. Tang Yun pointed out her weakness, which made Mengyao furious. She glared at Tang Yun as if she wanted to eat her up. What's wrong with my little one? I have a big one at home. Look, isn't she big? She's a lot bigger than you, right? Mengyao pushed Yushu out as she spoke, and as Mengyao's best friend, Yushu puffed her chest out proudly. See? You can't compete with her, right? It's none of your business. It's not like Lin Yi can touch you. Tang Yun found it funny. Mengyao couldn't compete with her, but she couldn't use someone else to replace her, right? Why not? Shield Bro always touches me. You even kissed me. Yushu looked at Tang Yun as if she was looking at an ignorant girl with disdain. Touch you? Kiss you? Tang Yun didn't believe it. It was ridiculous. She could accept that Lin Yi was Mengyao's fiancée, but to say that Lin Yi not only had a relationship with Mengyao, but also with Yushu, it was ridiculous. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Yao Yao Sis is Shield Bro's main wife, and I'm his second wife. Buy one get one free, it's a good deal. Yushu blinked at Mengyao. Isn't that right, Yao Yao Sis? That's right. Mengyao nodded with a serious face. Yeah, that's what we agreed on. Mengyao nodded with a serious face. Ah. Tang Yun was completely dumbfounded. What kind of logic was this? One was the main wife and one was the second wife. Most importantly, Mengyao had silently agreed to it. Tang Yun felt that this was either a farce, or there was something wrong with their brains. Tang Yun felt that it was possible for her to be Lin Yi's second wife. After all, her family was there and she liked Lin Yi a lot. Lin Yi was injured because of her. He was willing to sacrifice so much for her, even if she was his second wife, Tang Yun would accept it. At the very least, Lin Yi truly liked her. As long as he treated her well, she could barely accept it. But to say that Yushu was Lin Yi's mistress, Tang Yun didn't think it was realistic. What was Yushu's family background? She was a miss and her brother was a major. Her family background was even more mysterious. Both she and Mengyao were the pride of the school, so how could they share a husband? So Tang Yun's first thought was that these two were working together to trick her. After the initial shock, she didn't really believe it. She said sarcastically, "First wife, second wife? You guys are really creative." Yeah, how about it? Are you envious? Yushu continued as if she didn't hear the sarcasm in Tang Yun's words. Yao Yao and I are generous people. Even if you're Lin Yi's girlfriend, you can only be a small wife. No, you're the second small wife, I'm the first. Yushu's words made Mengyao blush. Don't you know how to be embarrassed? But it was all thanks to Yushu the clown. Without her, Mengyao might have really lost the battle. Tang Yun was speechless. How could there be such a shameless person? What first wife and second wife? Was it that honorable? This Yushu didn't seem to know what shame was. Tang Yun couldn't argue with her. But how could Tang Yun accept being defeated just like that? She glared at Yushu. What first wife and second wife? First come, first served, right? I'm already having sex with Lin Yi. What are you guys? You're just a figurehead. What? Xinwen was scared to death. Tang Yun and Lin Yi had already developed to this stage? Already had sex? Heavens, this is too fast. Tang Yun was also shocked by her own words. But since she said it, she couldn't back down. If she showed her fear, all her previous efforts would be wasted. So this time Tang Yun took the initiative. She couldn't let Yushu lead her by the nose all the time, could she? Sex is nothing. We've been living together for a long time. Right, Yao Yao sis? Yushu looked at Meng Yao and asked. Yes, we're living together. Meng Yao said this with confidence. She was telling the truth. She wasn't lying. They were living together with Lin Yi. We're always together. We're always threesome. Do you know what threesome is? Men love it the most. You're alone. How can it be as good as me and Yao Yao sis? Yushu didn't think before she spoke. She dared to say anything. This made Meng Yao speechless. But even so, she couldn't correct her. Meng Yao could only accept it. Tang Yun's face turned red. She didn't expect Yushu to say something so bold. She didn't want to believe Meng Yao and Yushu's words. But she was a little suspicious. After all, a girl's reputation was very important. She was already Lin Yi's girlfriend. Even if it was spread out, it wouldn't cause any trouble. But Meng Yao and Yushu, these two rich girls, didn't they care about their reputation? If there really wasn't anything between them and Lin Yi, would they dare to say this? Although Tang Yun didn't think that threesome was real, their relationship with Lin Yi was definitely not nothing. Although Tang Yun was stubborn and felt that she was Lin Yi's girlfriend, she was still no match for Yushu. At this time she was obviously a little weak. After all, she didn't know what else to say to be more powerful than Yushu's threesome. What's so good about threesome? It's disgusting. Tang Yun felt wronged. Her eyes stared at Yushu, unwilling to show weakness. You haven't tried it before. Of course you don't know. Yushu said confidently. We basically have threesome every day. Bullshit. Tang Yun of course didn't believe it. She felt that what Yushu said was too far from reality. Lin Yi won't live with you guys. You don't believe me? Then I'll show you the evidence. Yushu took out her phone and opened the photo album. Then she held it up and showed it to Tang Yun. Look, this is our kitchen. Shield bro makes breakfast for us every day. This is our living room. We watch TV together. Alright, on this sofa we threesome together. Look here, it's my asterisk asterisk. If you don't believe me, you can look at what I'm wearing. It's with this pattern. Oh, Yao Yao sis is in this photo. Look, the reflection in the mirror is here. Yushu finally found a photo with Meng Yao on it. She pointed it out to Tang Yun excitedly. Chapter 592. Who's bolder? How is it? Do you believe me now? There's also this one, it's our villa's yard. Look, this is Shield Bro's car and this is his car. You've seen it before, right? This Beetle is mine, and that Audi S5 is Yao Yao sis's. Yushu continued flipping through the photos in her phone and explained to Tang Yun, actually there's still the selfie we took when we were together, but we didn't put it in our phone. It's in our computer, do you want to see it? Tang Yun snorted and glared at Yushu fiercely. Actually, Tang Yun's heart was in a mess. She didn't know if she should believe Yushu's words, but her instincts told her that she didn't believe Yushu's words. If Lin Yi really had something with them, Tang Yun didn't believe that Lin Yi wouldn't tell her about it. Why would Lin Yi hide it from her? If he had a fiancé, then so be it. As long as he told her, she would leave quietly. There was no need to tell her through someone else's mouth. However, in the photo in Yushu's phone, it was indeed Lin Yi's car. Tang Yun also saw Lin Yi driving the yellow Beetle. When Lin Yi came to her house for the first time, he drove this Beetle. How could Lin Yi not know about it? And that Audi S5, Tang Yun also saw it. It was at the night market. Lin Yi stood beside the car. In fact, Yushu didn't know what lovers would do after they slept together. They couldn't say that they had a child, right? That would be ridiculous. If Tang Yun asked where the child was, what would she say? So, Tang Yun didn't say anything and just stared at them. Yushu didn't say anything either and just stared at them. They glared at each other fiercely, but no one said anything. At that moment, it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. Although it seemed like Yushu and Meng Yao had the upper hand, in fact they were feeling guilty. After all, what Yushu said just now was just bullsh asterisk ting bullsh asterisk ting. Fatty Lai had already hidden far away when the three girls started fighting. He didn't want to be caught as a strong man because he couldn't afford to offend either of the two groups. Fatty Lai knew that Tang Yun was his sister-in-law. Meng Yao and Yushu on the other hand were speaking so confidently, and Yushu had so much evidence. Fatty Lai knew that Lin Yi must be related to them. Therefore the best thing to do at this time was to hide and not help either side. This was the wisest choice. Fatty Lai walked over after they stopped arguing. Alright, it doesn't matter which one of you is Lin Yi's wife. You're still his woman, so you're all sisters-in-law. Meng Yao was about to say, who's sis-in-law? But then he remembered that he was still fighting with Tang Yun, so he accepted the title of sister-in-law without batting an eyelid. Tang Yun saw that Meng Yao and Yushu didn't say anything, so she raised her head and didn't say anything. Sisters-in-law, can you guys calm down first? Boss is healing now and he needs silence. What if he goes mad with you guys arguing like this? Fatty Lai said carefully. Tang Yun was shocked. Meng Yao and Yushu were also shocked. They didn't think that much before, but after Fatty Lai's reminder, they realized that Lin Yi was still lying inside. What's the point of arguing about these meaningless things? Maybe it was because of Fatty Lai's words, or maybe they didn't know what to say anymore, but the living room temporarily quieted down. There were two groups of people in the living room. One group was Meng Yao and Yushu. Both of them had moved to the side and were whispering to each other. Shu, how could you say such dirty things just now? 3 batches? Did you read too many bad books? Meng Yao scolded softly. Oh Yao Yao sis, you know what 3 batches means? Then you read bad books too. Yushu said carelessly. Don't change the topic. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. What we did just now, wasn't it bad? What's bad about it? Shield bro belongs to Yao Yao sis, who asked him to fool around outside. Yushu didn't think that what she did was wrong at all. Sigh. Meng Yao sighed softly. In fact, she didn't know whether what she did was right or wrong. It seemed like it was an instinct, but it also seemed like she was being pushed. On the other side, Tang Yun was pulled to the side by Lu Xinwen. Lu Xinwen wanted to speak a few times, but she didn't. After all, she didn't know how Tang Yun and Lin Yi's relationship was not good. Tang Yun was worried about Lin Yi, so she didn't have the mood to talk about this. The battle with Yushu just now was to protect her dignity, and at this moment, Tang Yun obviously didn't have the mood to care about other things. Fatty Lai saw that everyone was standing in front of Lin Yi's room, so he and his wife moved 4 sofas and let them sit first. Time passed by, and there was no movement from Lin Yi's room. Tang Yun wanted to go and see, but she was afraid of disturbing Lin Yi, and Meng Yao had the same thought. Yao Yao sis, I'm hungry. Yushu heard her stomach growling. She wanted to eat. Bear with it, when Lin Yi wakes up, the 3 of us will go home and eat together. When she said this, Meng Yao didn't know what she was thinking, but she purposely raised her voice so that Tang Yun could hear her. Okay, but I want to eat Shield Bro's cooking. His cooking is delicious. Yushu cooperated with Meng Yao. Doesn't he cook for us every day? He's injured today, so he doesn't need to cook anymore. Meng Yao also showed off. Meng Yao realized that when did she become so vain? She didn't like to show off before, did she? Tang Yun listened to the 2 girls, and her heart was filled with dissatisfaction. Why should she cook for them? She couldn't help but say, Lu Xinwen, you haven't eaten Lin Yi's chicken wings before, right? It's delicious, and he even gave me the recipe. The barbecue at my house now is the recipe Lin Yi gave me. Right, he even made me shark meat before. You have eaten it too, right? Lu Xinwen sighed. Yinyan, why are you starting to get jealous too? You are the pride of the heavens, the prettiest among the 3 of us. But Meng Yao and Yushu, which one of them isn't beautiful? Shark meat, we have eaten it too, and that shark was caught by Shield Bro and me. Yushu continued. Tang Yun didn't believe it and humphed. Chapter 593. The war begins again. I want to eat roasted chicken wings. Yushu heard Tang Yun talking about roasted chicken wings, so she wanted to eat roasted chicken wings as well. We don't have roasted chicken wings here. Meng Yao glared at her and turned to Fatty Lai. Sorry for troubling you. Meng Yao acted like a lady from a wealthy family. Us 2 will just eat whatever we want, Tang Yun said politely to Fatty Lai. Okay, I'll ask my wife to cook the noodles. Fatty Lai let out a sigh of relief. He was afraid that these girls would be picky. Soon, Fatty Lai's wife finished cooking the noodles, and Fatty Lai was responsible for serving them. Each of them had a bowl, and the piping hot noodles were placed in front of the girls. Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Lu Xinwen were all hungry. They stopped fighting and lowered their heads to eat the noodles. Meng Yao and Tang Yun ate more elegantly, while Yushu and Lu Xinwen didn't care that much. They ate the noodles with gusto. Fatty Lai often went to social events, and it was hard for him to eat his fill at the banquets. So he would always eat something before going to bed, and noodles were extremely convenient. So Fatty Lai's wife learned how to cook noodles, and the noodles she made were better than the ones outside. After finishing the noodles, Fatty Lai picked up the bowl, and the girls continued to stare at each other. The smell of gunpowder was very strong. After eating and drinking, the war began. Meng Yao thought about how there was no news from Lin Yi for so long, and she was even more worried. She couldn't help but complain. Why didn't you stop Lin Yi from taking revenge? If you had stopped him, he wouldn't have gotten hurt, right? How could I have stopped him? He went to take revenge for me, and that proves that he loves me. I should be happy. Tang Yun said. Otherwise, why didn't he get hurt because of you? Who said he didn't get hurt because of me? He even took a bullet for me, right Shu? Meng Yao was talking about the bank robbery, but the bullet wasn't for Meng Yao but for Guan Xan. Oh, Shield Bro jumped into the sea with me to save me and we even fought sharks. Yushu added. Fatty Lai sighed and pulled his wife to a faraway place. He didn't dare go to sleep. It was fine if they argued, but he was afraid that they'd start fighting. Oh Lai, who are these people? Lai's wife still didn't understand the relationship between these people. She only knew that the injured person was Lin Yi, her husband's boss, was a miracle doctor who cured her father-in-law. The current miracle doctor Guan's medical company was also founded by him, so Lai's wife knew that he was a powerful figure and respected him like Fatty Lai. But, of the 4 girls in the room, 3 of them were ridiculously pretty, and all of them claimed to be in a relationship with Lin Yi. This gave the wife quite a headache. Lin Yi passed the phone to Fatty Lai and told him to explain if Tang Yun called. Then he locked himself in the room, fell onto the bed and fainted. In the next moment, Lin Yi entered the space of the jade pendant. This was the first time that Lin Yi had a head-on collision with an expert of similar strength to him. This collision was extremely uncomfortable. Fortunately, he had the space of the jade pendant. Otherwise, he might have really died this time. Phew! Lin Yi could feel the elemental energy around him repairing his internal organs at an incredible speed. He couldn't help but let out a long sigh. It was a very comfortable feeling, just like the feeling he got when he leveled up and broke through. He couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. This was the second time Lin Yi entered deep sleep after Xiao Xiao sucked all his energy dry. He couldn't sense anything from the outside world at all. Time passed, and Lin Yi's injured body was quickly recovering under the pure energy of the space. After who knew how long, Lin Yi let out a long roar and stood up. Lin Yi moved his body left and right in disbelief. He was healed, completely healed? Lin Yi naturally knew how serious his injuries were. Even with the support of his old man's elixirs, he wouldn't be able to get out of bed for at least 2 to 3 months. But in this space of the jade pendant he recovered so quickly. Could be said to be a miracle. Jiao Lao, I'm healed? Lin Yi asked in disbelief. Yes. Jiao Yazi nodded. The space of the jade pendant has healing effects? Lin Yi asked curiously. When he fell on the bed, entering the space of the jade pendant was an instinct. In fact, Lin Yi didn't know that entering the space of the jade pendant after he fainted could help him heal. Of course your energy can help others heal, of course you can heal yourself. Jiao Lao rolled his eyes. Can't you ask some questions that are beyond kindergarten level? Okay, so that means if I slowly absorb energy from the outside, the pure qi in the natural world, I can slowly recover? Lin Yi asked. In theory, yes. Jiao Yazi said, but this is another kindergarten level question. The pure qi in the outside world is thin, and the amount you absorb can't keep up with the speed your body uses it. You won't be able to absorb that much energy and you'll die. I see. Lin Yi nodded. If that Uncle Zhu didn't have elixirs, he'd probably die. One more question, why do I feel like I'm stronger than before? Although my level hasn't changed, I feel stronger? Very good, there's progress. This is a primary school level question. Jiao Yazi's words made Lin Yi a little embarrassed. However, Jiao Yazi didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak and continued, there's no construction without destruction. Your bones and internal organs have all been damaged, so they will be repaired by the pure energy in the space. Naturally, they will be much stronger than if they were forged by the thin true qi in the natural world. Lin Yi suddenly realized that it was related to the purity of the energy. It seemed that the space of the jade pendant was really a good thing. Such a serious injury, but I recovered in such a short time. It's unbelievable. Lin Yi sighed. Short? It's almost 10 hours. Jiao Yazi said lightly. What? 10 hours? Lin Yi was shocked. In his mind it was only 1 or 2 hours. He didn't expect it to be this long. Chapter 594. Lin Yi's headache. Moreover, after he ran out tonight, he did not inform eldest Mississippi. Would eldest Miss look for him? Thinking of this, Lin Yi quickly returned to reality from the jade space. Lin Yi stretched his body and checked his body. He was on the verge of dying, but now he had recovered to his peak condition. He was full of energy and there was nothing wrong with his body. Only the blood stain on his clothes was a little scary. Lin Yi quickly got up from the bed and opened the door, only to be stunned by what he saw. Miss and Tang Yun were all sitting in the living room. Why were they all here? Lin Yi, are you alright? Why is it so serious? Meng Yao stood up first and walked to Lin Yi's side. She looked at Lin Yi tenderly, her beautiful eyes were full of tenderness. Lin Yi couldn't help but shiver at Meng Yao's tone. Was this Miss? Why was she speaking like this? Was he not awake yet? Was he still dreaming? Meng Yao didn't know why, but in front of Tang Yun she subconsciously entered her mode. She was like a gentle wife worried about Lin Yi. Especially when she saw the blood stain on Lin Yi's clothes, Meng Yao was even more furious at Tang Yun. Lin Yi was injured because he wanted to avenge her. Lin Yi, I'm sorry. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been injured. Tang Yun naturally didn't want to be outdone. She ran over and grabbed Lin Yi's arm. How could Meng Yao let herself get close to Lin Yi? At this time she also grabbed Lin Yi's other arm. Yushu, on the other hand, jumped into Lin Yi's arms. Shield bro, we were so worried about you. Are you alright? If not, let's go home and do 3P. Wow. Lin Yi jumped in fright from Yushu. What? Go home and do 3P? Did Shu have a fever or was she having a stroke? Lin Yi, she said she's your fiancée? Meng Yao is the main wife, and Yushu is the second wife? Tang Yun was conflicted. Although she was worried about Lin Yi's injury, she still had to ask the question in her heart. First wife, second wife? Lin Yi's eyes widened. What was going on? That's right, Lin Yi. Tell me, are you my personal expert? Are you here to help me deal with those pestering flies? Meng Yao felt a little guilty. Lin Yi had woken up, and her lie was about to be exposed. However, she didn't want to admit defeat in front of Tang Yun. Lin Yi looked at Meng Yao. He didn't know what was wrong with her today. Why was she so aggressive today? They said that the two of you often kissed together and 3P? Tang Yun didn't think that the term 3 batches was very elegant, but she couldn't care less. She wanted to know the truth. When did you kiss? 3P? I don't even know where to start. Lin Yi sweated. He wanted to have 3P, but who was going to do it with him? Shield bro, you dare to say that you didn't kiss me and Yao Yao sis? You even made Yao Yao sis pregnant and she vomited. Yushu said, also, didn't you kiss me on the beach? Really? Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi with a wronged expression. Lin Yi suddenly had a headache. He didn't know how Meng Yao and Yushu got into a fight with Tang Yun, but it was obvious that the two of them lied to Tang Yun. Sweat. That's an indirect kiss, okay? You drank my drink and that counts as a kiss? Lin Yi was speechless. If you can get pregnant like that, then the streets would be full of pregnant women. Also, Shu, I gave you CPR, how is that a kiss? Tang Yun listened to Lin Yi's explanation, and her heart was filled with joy. Although this explanation proved that Lin Yi really had some relationship with Meng Yao and Yushu, at least Lin Yi cared about her, that's why he explained it to her. Whether it was true or not, Tang Yun was very happy. Meng Yao blushed when Lin Yi said the truth, but Yushu didn't care. Shield bro, why didn't you cooperate with us? Cooperate with what? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Why are you and Yao Yao here? Yao Yao sis heard that you were injured, so she brought me here to see you. Yao Yao sis is very concerned about you. When are we going home to play 3P? Yushu said without blushing. What 3P? How can you be so shameless? Lin Yi already said that it has nothing to do with you. Can you not pester him like this? Tang Yun panicked. Why was Yushu like this? Isn't this seduction? Even if Lin Yi didn't like them, wouldn't he make a mistake if he continued to seduce them? Tang Yun knew how pretty Meng Yao and Yushu were. Oh, are you jealous? You can't do 3P but you don't want us to? Yushu grinned at Tang Yun. Why can't I play? I'll take care of two of you. Tang Yun was panicking and didn't know what to say. Lin Yi's head was about to explode. What day was it? What was going on? How did Tang Yun, who used to be so obedient, suddenly become so violent? And the first miss, who had always been aloof and virtuous, also joined in? As for Yushu, Lin Yi didn't think much of it. She was like this all the time after all. My head hurts. Lin Yi slapped his forehead as he fell to the ground. The headache was real, but it wasn't that serious. Fainting was just an act. However, Lin Yi's fall shocked Tang Yun, Meng Yao and Yushu. They just remembered that Lin Yi had just woken up from his injury. They didn't know if he had recovered or not, but they were still arguing here. Weren't they trying to piss Lin Yi off? Tang Yun and Meng Yao wanted to go check on Lin Yi, but Yushu said, "Oh, Shield bro, why are your eyes moving? Are you pretending to faint?" Lin Yi was just playing around with them and he pretended to be anxious. Naturally, he didn't look like he fainted. Yushu found the flaw, so he stopped pretending. Yao Yao Shu, don't cause trouble. What? Do you think I'm annoying? Meng Yao's face turned cold. She was obviously unhappy. Lin Yi, come home with us right now. Meng Yao really lost her face. Lin Yi told them not to cause trouble. Didn't he mean that they shouldn't cause trouble between him and Tang Yun? With the Mrs. Arrogant personality, how could she tolerate it? Oh, let's go home and play 3P. Yushu clapped happily. Yao Yao, you guys go back first. I want to talk to Tang Yun. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Chapter 595. The Misdeclaration of War. This. Lin Yi looked at Tang Yin, who was gritting her teeth. He knew that he had pushed her to the edge today, or else she wouldn't be like this. Of course, Linny has to listen to me. Mingyao finally gained the upper hand. Linny, my dad is waiting for you at home. Come home with us now. Linny was in a difficult position. Pengzhan was here? Logically speaking, Pengzhan was his employer. If he wanted him to go back, he had to go back. But he had to explain to Tang Yin, right? I can go back, I'll explain to Tang Yin. Lin Yi's words were very forceful, and Mingyao wanted to retort, but she couldn't. She couldn't help but pout, glaring at Lin Yi hatefully. Damned Lin Yi, what the hell were you talking to me about? I'll deduct your salary. Tang Yin smiled. It didn't matter what relationship Lin Yi had with them. Lin Yi cared about her the most, so she won this round. Lin Yi walked to Tang Yin's side and whispered. I'm fine, I want to go back with them. Yao Yao's father and my family's old man have some relationship. I came to Songshan to study, it's also because of my elder's order to secretly take care of Yao Yao. She is now my employer, so I have to listen to her. Oh. Tang Yin felt wronged. Why didn't you tell me before? Besides, Lin Yi was living with them now. Facing these two beauties every day, even if Lin Yi didn't like them, he would still fall in love with them, right? An unprecedented sense of danger made Tang Yun's heart flutter. Let Fatty Lai send you back. I'll go find you tomorrow. Lin Yi pulled Tang Yin's hand. Okay. Tang Yin nodded sweetly. She looked at Mingyao cautiously. Lin Yi, we should go. Mingyao knew that Lin Yi must have told Tang Yun about her identity. This made her a little embarrassed. She had just shamelessly said that she was Lin Yi's fiancée, but now it had become a joke. Then leave, don't keep your employer waiting. Tang Yun smiled at Lin Yi generously. She knew that a girl shouldn't be too petty, especially in front of a strong opponent like Mingyao. Although Lin Yi explained his relationship with Mingyao, Tang Yun's sixth sense told her that Mingyao liked Lin Yi, and so did Yushu. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone against him like this, and they wouldn't have said those words that tarnished their reputations. However, Tang Yin was a smart girl. She still pointed out Mingyao's identity. In fact, she was telling Mingyao that she knew her identity, and there was no need for her to fight with her. Mingyao pursed her lips and pulled Yushu out of the living room. But when she passed by Tang Yin, she stopped and whispered in her ear, I've decided. From today onwards, I'll officially pursue Lin Yi. I'll get the benefits first. Don't cry when I get dumped. Oh, if you want to cry, I can reluctantly let you be the second wife. Yushu giggled. Tang Yin didn't say anything. She stood there, full of confidence. She didn't believe that Lin Yi would dump her. She smiled faintly and said half-jokingly, since you're so willing to be the second wife, as long as Lin Yi is willing, I don't mind. Lin Yi's hearing was shockingly strong. Naturally, he heard everything the three of them said. Lin Yi only had one thought in his mind. Miss had gone crazy. Tang Yin had gone crazy too. However, Lin Yi didn't say anything. He followed Mingyao and Yushu out of Fatty Lai's villa. Mingyao and Yushu sat in their Audi S5, but they sat in the back. Lin Yi looked at his car. He could only come back tomorrow to get it. Miss obviously wanted him to drive, so Lin Yi had no choice but to sit in the driver's seat. Tang Yin let out a sigh of relief when she saw Lin Yi leave. She collapsed into Xinwen's arms as if she'd collapsed from exhaustion. Tang Yin gritted her teeth. There was only one thought in her mind. She couldn't show weakness in front of Mingyao and Yushu. Although he didn't know their background, Lin Yi liked her. This was the reason why Tang Yin gritted her teeth and fought until the end. However, Tang Yin was a girl who hadn't experienced these things. Fortunately, Mingyao didn't have any experience, and with the addition of Yushu, it was hard to tell who would win. However, after Mingyao and Yushu left, Tang Yin couldn't hold on anymore. She wasn't the kind of person who liked to fight. She used all her strength just now. Yin, what's wrong? Xinwen was shocked and asked anxiously. It's nothing. Tang Yin smiled bitterly. I'm just a little tired. Xinwen, do you think what I did just now wasn't good? Does Lin Yi think that I'm a petty woman who likes to fight for a man's favor? No. Yin, your performance just now was beyond my expectations. You were so fierce I almost couldn't recognize you. Xinwen said with admiration. You're being sarcastic. Tang Yin let out a breath of relief after hearing Xinwen's words. She didn't expect herself to be so daring and argue with Mingyao and Yushu. Thinking about it now, Tang Yin couldn't believe that it was her. Ah, by the way, Yin, how far are you and Lin Yi now? Are you really fucking? Xinwen had wanted to ask this question for a long time. Of course not. I was lying to them. Who told them to lie to me? Tang Yin's face blushed as she said embarrassedly. You scared me. You stupid Yin, I thought you were fucking that fast. That's a little too fast. Xinwen also let out a breath of relief. By the way, how far are you guys now? not that far, just holding hands. Tang Yin returned to her usual self. If she had to stand up and say something like before, she wouldn't dare to do it. It's just holding hands. Xinwen, on the other hand, was a little disappointed. She didn't expect the two to progress so slowly. Right, Yunyun, you need to be careful of Mengyao and Yushu. They're obviously in cahoots with each other. They have an advantage over you. You and Lin Yi may be in a relationship now, but it's buy one get one free. You get 3 batches. Tang Yin couldn't help but roll her eyes at Xinwen. Hey Xinwen, what are you talking about? Lin Yi doesn't like to do those disgusting things. Chapter 596. After getting injured, no. I won't. Although Tang Yun said that, she started to worry. Xinwen's words made her feel embarrassed, but it wasn't without reason. And she had to find a chance to ask Lin Yi about it. Speaking of tigress, who's more tigress than you? My tigress is different from hers. How should I put it? Although Lu Xinwen's character was very boorish, she was also meticulous. She had a good eye for people. Her tiger is the kind of naive and cute tiger, but I think it's most likely an act. Either she's really like this, very silly, very naive, very pure and ambiguous, or she's very perverted and smart. What nonsense. Tang Yun blushed. Why do I care so much about her? Haven't you heard of this saying? There's no such thing as an unbreakable couple, only a lazy mistress. Xinwen was disappointed. Yun, you have to be careful. Alright, I got it. Xinwen's words were clear in Tang Yun's heart, but what could she do? It all depended on Lin Yi's attitude. Tang Yun and Xinwen were sent back to the hospital by Fatty Lai's wife. Tang Yun's head didn't hurt at all, just like what Lin Yi said, she could remove the bandages in one night. Before they left, Fatty Lai gave Tang Yun a bottle of painkiller. Since Tang Juqing was injured, he used up a lot of painkiller. At the same time, in the private room behind the floating cloud bar, Zhao Qibing and Uncle Zhu were both lying on the bed. Zhao Qibing had woken up and was crying in pain. Uncle Zhu, on the other hand, closed his eyes to heal himself. Master Bing, bear with it, Yawang is on the way, he should be here soon. Sihua sighed. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be this ruthless. In the past, Sihua thought that he was a big shot in Songshan, everyone had to give him face, but after meeting Lin Yi, he realized that he was nothing in Lin Yi's eyes. Lin Yi didn't even look at him. Damn it. Where did this Lin Yi come from? How dare you break my leg? What did my father say? Did you send anyone to deal with him? Qibing really couldn't swallow this. He had just arrived in Songshan, he hadn't even had a chance to get started, but Lin Yi had already shown his power. Not only did Lin Yi topple his skyscraper, he even broke his legs. How was he going to survive in Songshan in the future? If he didn't kill Lin Yi, he wouldn't have the face to stay in Songshan anymore. The head of the house is already investigating Lin Yi's identity. Sihua smiled bitterly. But I heard from Uncle Zhu that Lin Yi's a mystic. I'm afraid he's quite a high position even in the boss place. Mystic class? Lin Yi is a mystic. Zhao Qibing froze. He had fainted earlier, so he didn't know what Uncle Zhu was talking about. Now that he heard the news, he was shocked as well. He didn't ask about Uncle Zhu's injuries because his legs were hurting too. He didn't have the time to care about others. He thought that Uncle Zhu's injuries were caused by a bulldozer or a trenching machine, so he didn't think too much about it. Yes, mystic early phase. At this moment, Uncle Zhu, who had his eyes closed, spoke. Master Bing, Lin Yi is also heavily injured. If he doesn't have any treasures to nourish himself, even if he doesn't die, he won't have any strength left. It depends on what he chooses. Does he want to sacrifice his life to preserve his strength, or does he want to become a normal person? Does that mean that if Lin Yi doesn't have any treasures to nourish himself, now would be the best time to deal with him? And now that he's injured, he doesn't have the strength of a mystic anymore? Sihua was a cunning man. He understood what Uncle Zhu was trying to say. Haha, his situation isn't much better than mine. Even with treasures and a master like Yao Wang to heal him, he'll need at least half a year to recover to his peak, and that's the ideal situation. Uncle Zhu said. In fact, if there's a small mistake or if there's a lack of treasures, he won't be able to recover so quickly. It's hard to say if he can even recover to his peak. That's great. We'll deal with him before he recovers, he won't be able to fight back. Sihua had wanted to deal with Lin Yi for a long time, but he hadn't found a way. Now that he had this news, how could he let it go? Most importantly, he wanted to avenge Master Bing. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's wait for the head's decision. Uncle Zhu was a man who followed the orders of the house. Whether or not to deal with Lin Yi was up to Zhao Guangyin. He was just giving some suggestions. Sihua nodded. Indeed, without Guangyin's order, they couldn't proceed with the next step. They could only wait for Yao Wang to come. Linny drove the car carefully. The miss had a cold expression on her face and no one knew what she was thinking. Yushu, on the other hand, still had that silly look on her face as she played with her fingers. She didn't seem to notice the strange atmosphere at all. Or maybe she did, but it didn't affect her at all. Yao sis, are you officially going to pursue Shield bro? Yushu asked after playing with her fingers. Linny sweated. Meng Yao said this in a low voice to Tang Yun. Although Lin Yi's hearing was good, he could pretend that he didn't hear it. But now that Yushu said it out loud, it was a little awkward. The miss wanted to pursue him? Linny didn't believe it. He didn't know what was wrong with her, but Linny didn't think it was a big deal. Meng Yao's expression froze. She glared at Yushu angrily. Then she calmed down and said in a calm tone, Linny, don't listen to Shu's nonsense. I argued with Tang Yun because I was angry. You are my follower, but you got hurt because of Tang Yun. To be honest, I don't like her. That's why I said it on purpose to piss her off. Don't take it seriously. I know. I didn't take it seriously. Linny smiled and nodded. This was the miss. Meng Yao's eyes flashed with disappointment. She felt a little bitter in her heart. This was the first time she announced that she wanted to pursue a guy, and he didn't take it seriously? Chapter 597. Chapter 597, Disappointed Miss, okay? Linny smiled bitterly and nodded. Was Shu that retarded? How could she be caught again? Oh, you can climb the fence next time if you have nothing to do, Yushu added. Linny almost drove the car into a ditch on the side of the road. From now on, if you do anything intimate with Tang Yun, you have to report to me first. Meng Yao didn't know what she was thinking, but she said this. I don't think that's necessary. I have a private life too. Linny blushed. Of course. Meng Yao said firmly. What if you want to have sex with Tang Yun and I'm in danger and you can't stop? So you have to report to me first? Sex. Linny smiled bitterly. I have to report that too? Of course. One is to monitor your private life. Shu and I are pure people, and if your private life is too dirty, I'll have to consider firing you. Meng Yao said with a serious face. Okay. Linny nodded. The miss was angry today and Linny didn't want to piss her off. No matter what, he had to agree first. Then Yao sis, are we still going to have 3P at home? Yushu was disappointed to see Meng Yao backing out. Play what? Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Why are you so willing to play? If you want to play, go play by yourself. I can't play by myself. Yushu said, troubled. Yao sis, you don't keep your words. Alright Shu, let's not talk about this. You're still young and can't play. You can play when you're older, okay? Meng Yao got a headache from Yushu. Okay. You can play with me when I'm older? Yushu finally smiled. Sure. Meng Yao was speechless. Linny could only smile bitterly. He really couldn't interfere in this matter. Is Uncle Chu at home? Lin Yi changed the topic because he really didn't know how to participate in the previous conversation. Daddy's treating you to dinner, and you made him wait for more than 10 hours. Meng Yao pointed out the window. It's almost dawn. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'll explain it to you when we get back. Lin Yi said with a bitter smile. Meng Yao humphed. Drive faster, there's still a feast at home. Lin Yi didn't say anything as he sped up the car. Meng Yao's Audi S5 was a sports car, and it was the middle of the night. There weren't any cars on the road, so Lin Yi pushed the car to the limit. Meng Yao didn't react in time. Yushu, on the other hand, was dancing around. Wow, it's so cool, a roller coaster. Meng Yao was speechless. Was Yushu lacking in the fear factor? Why didn't she know the meaning of fear? In the blink of an eye, Lin Yi stopped the car in front of Meng Yao's villa. Pengzhan and Faubert ran out when they heard the sound of the car. Uncle Fu and Pengzhan followed him to Fatty Lai's villa, and after waiting for a while, they called Meng Yao to confirm Lin Yi's condition. Then they went home to wait. After all, it wasn't appropriate for Pengzhan to wait at Fatty Lai's house. Are you alright? Pengzhan was surprised to see Lin Yi getting down from the driver's seat. Meng Yao said that Lin Yi's condition was very serious, and he even vomited blood. But now, other than the blood stain on Lin Yi's shirt, Lin Yi's face was rosy. It didn't look like he was injured at all. If it wasn't for the blood stain on his shirt, Pengzhan would have thought that Lin Yi wasn't injured at all. Only the blood stain could prove that something had happened. It's fine, I'm a doctor myself. Lin Yi shrugged. Thank you for your concern, Uncle Chu. Sorry to keep you waiting. It's fine as long as you're fine. Pengzhan said sincerely. I was so worried. Although Elder Lin asked you to help House Chu, if something really happened to you, How would I explain it to Elder Lin? I was too reckless this time. I've caused trouble for Uncle Chu, Lin Yi said embarrassedly. Although Lin Yi said that, he didn't guarantee that it wouldn't happen again. If things went back to before he went to find Zhao Qibing, Lin Yi would still do the same thing. It's fine. The food is ready. It's just a little cold. Let's have a drink to calm you down. At the same time, we'll thank you for saving Yao Yao and Shu, Peng Zhan said. The group entered the villa. Lin Yi took a shower and changed into a casual outfit. Faubert had already heated up the food. Meng Yao and Yushu sat in the dining room. Peng Zhan pulled Lin Yi over when he saw Lin Yi coming out. Meng Yao sat at the dining table in a daze. She thought back to her abnormal behavior today. Was this still her? She fought with Tang Yun for a man? She even proudly announced that she was going to pursue Lin Yi? How was this possible? This was impossible. She must be dreaming. But Meng Yao pinched herself. She realized that she wasn't in a dream. She was in reality. Meng Yao blushed as she thought back to what had happened. She was going to pursue Lin Yi? Lin Yi was more likely to pursue her. If he were to pursue her, would she agree? Should she reject him directly or give him a chance? Meng Yao was a little excited but shy at the same time. She didn't know what to do. Today's events had far exceeded the Miss' mental endurance. Everything she'd said and done was completely out of anger and she didn't think it through. Meng Yao blushed as she thought back to it. Yao Yao Shu, this is the first drink. You two toast to Lin Yi. Thank him for saving you. Peng Zhan said to the two after sitting down. Okay. Yushu raised her drink. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was still in a daze. She didn't seem to hear what Peng Zhan said. Yao Yao? Peng Zhan frowned. What was wrong with his daughter? She had been absent-minded since a while ago. He didn't know what she was thinking about. Daddy, what's wrong? What's the matter? Meng Yao snapped out of her daze and looked at Peng Zhan, not sure what was going on. You and Shu toast to Lin Yi. Thank him for saving you. Peng Zhan repeated himself. It was late after all. Meng Yao hadn't slept the whole night. It was normal for her to be spaced out. Chapter 598. The miss has something on her mind. Shield bro, thank you for saving me and Yao Yao sis. If Yao Yao sis wants to repay me with her body, I'm fine with it. Yushu blinked innocently. Shu, my daddy is here. What are you talking about? Meng Yao was shocked. She glared at Yushu as if someone stepped on her tail. Yushu stuck her tongue out. She'd been joking a lot lately and hadn't been paying attention today. Meng Yao's reminder reminded her that Peng Zhan was here as well. She'd almost said buy one get one free. That would have been so embarrassing. Peng Zhan smiled faintly but didn't show anything. He said, with Shu at home to liven up the atmosphere, it won't be lonely. Yao, it's your turn. Lin Yi saved her. How could Meng Yao not be grateful? Humans weren't plants or trees, so they couldn't be emotionless. But asking the miss to toast Lin Yi made her a little embarrassed. She was the one who chased Lin Yi out, didn't she? Although she had reluctantly accepted the fact that he was living with her, wouldn't it mean that she was giving in to him if she toasted him? How could she treat him in the future? However, her daddy was staring at her. Meng Yao had no choice but to raise her glass. She didn't toast Lin Yi. Instead, she poured herself a cup and drank it. Thank you. Lin Yi didn't mind. Miss was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. That was her personality. He raised his glass and smiled. It's what I should do. Meng Yao wasn't happy looking at Lin Yi's calm face. I'm the miss, okay? I'm your employer. Why don't you look happy when I'm toasting you? When have I ever toasted another guy? However, she couldn't say it out loud. She could only sulk and list out all of Lin Yi's flaws. She cursed Lin Yi in her heart. Lin Yi, stupid Lin Yi. Can't you treat me a little better? Am I worse than Tang Yun? Even if I'm a little worse than her, what about Yushu? The two of us together are not attractive? You just had to go out and flirt with other women. You're really despicable. At first, Meng Yao didn't think that she had any feelings for Lin Yi. She thought that she was angry because Lin Yi ignored her and Shu. This was something a proud miss couldn't tolerate. Why couldn't the two of us compare to Tang Yun? Are you blind or are we really not attractive? Yao, how's Lil Yi doing in school? He's at transfer school. If he can't catch up, you and Shu can help him out. Peng Zhan started chatting casually. What? Meng Yao was cursing Lin Yi in her heart when she saw her father looking at her. It seemed like he was asking her a question, but she didn't hear it clearly. Yao, why are you always absent-minded? What are you thinking about? Peng Zhan asked with a smile. Nothing. I'm not thinking about anything. Meng Yao blushed. Oh, Uncle Chu, I know what Yao sis is thinking about. Yushu reached out her hand like a student. Shu, tell me, what is Yao thinking about? Peng Zhan was in a good mood today. He smiled and asked Yushu. Yao sis is thinking about love. Yushu said with a serious face. Thinking about love? Peng Zhan paused and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why is Yao thinking about love? I'll kill you. Meng Yao didn't want to admit that Yushu had seen through her thoughts, so she was getting angry. Besides, she wasn't thinking about love. She just wanted Lin Yi to pay more attention to her. How could this be considered as thinking about love? Oh, Yao sis is murdering someone? Yushu ran away in fear. Haha. Peng Zhan was already used to the bickering between the two girls. The two had been fighting since they were young, and Yushu didn't dare to say anything at all. Peng Zhan knew her personality very well. Lin Yi shook his head with a bitter smile. Yushu was always like this no matter what situation she was in. Meng Yao naturally couldn't really get up and chase after Yushu. Yushu had always been this impulsive, so it wasn't a big deal. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was much more mature. How could she get up and leave when her daddy was still at the banquet? Daddy, don't listen to Shu's nonsense. She's the one who's thinking about love. Meng Yao was afraid that her father would misunderstand and explained with a blush. Peng Zhan was slightly taken aback. It would have been fine if Meng Yao didn't explain, but this explanation made Peng Zhan suspicious. This kind of thing, if Yushu was joking, Meng Yao wouldn't explain it according to her personality. But today she explained it and even blushed. This made Peng Zhan feel that something was wrong, but he didn't plan to ask about it at the banquet. He wanted to talk about it in private later. Right, I heard that one of Zhong Pingliang's kidneys was cut off. What happened? Does it have anything to do with you? Peng Zhan changed the topic to Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Fabai's son losing a kidney was a big deal. Although Zhong Fabai didn't want to announce it, everyone with a bit of background in Songshan had heard about it. They were all sighing in their hearts. What kind of person did Zhong Pingliang offend to be treated this way? No, but this should be done by Jiang Wen? Lin Yi told Jiang Wen about Zhong Pingliang kidnapping Meng Yao, and the second day, Zhong Pingliang's kidney was cut off. This was undoubtedly done by Jiang Wen. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was why Jiang Wen would choose to cut off one of Zhong Pingliang's kidneys. Thinking back to the organ smuggling organization that Lingshan mentioned a few days ago, and the kidney trafficking organization that he personally destroyed, Lin Yi suspected that Jiang Wen had something to do with this organization. Jiang Wen? Peng Zhan paused but nodded. That's possible. Uncle Chu, what's the background of this Jiang Wen? He seems to have some connection with your family? Lin Yi asked. Haosen used to be a powerful family in Songshan. Their business was very big and our two families had some business dealings. We have a good relationship. Jiang Wen is the youngest son of Haosen, and he had a good relationship with Yao back then. Peng Zhan said, they were childhood friends. Who's childhood friends with him? Meng Yao suddenly interrupted as if she was worried that people would misunderstand. Chapter 599. Can't chase him away, he's just a childhood friend. Peng Zhan looked at his daughter deeply before continuing with a smile, but I heard that Haosen found a powerful backer after that, and the whole family moved to Donghai. Haosen's business here has been taken care of by the eldest son of Haosen. Jiang Wen left the country and only came back recently. Meng Yao glared at Lin Yi. This guy didn't seem to care about her at all. He didn't seem to care about whether she and Jiang Wen were childhood friends or not. Wasn't he worried about her at all? However, Lin Yi's next words disappointed Meng Yao. Lin Yi didn't dwell on the topic of childhood friends. Lin Yi nodded. Uncle Chu, have you heard of a criminal organization that smuggles organs? They're called a kidney trafficking organization by the people? Kidney trafficking organization? Are you suspecting that Jiang Wen has something to do with this organization? Peng Zhan frowned, but after Haosen moved to Donghai, they started a business that was half black and half white. They changed their business path and accumulated a huge amount of wealth in a few short years. I'm a little suspicious. Otherwise, why would Jiang Wen remove Zhong Pingliang's kidney? Lin Yi said, but this has nothing to do with us. As long as he doesn't disturb us, it's fine. That's right. It's best to stay away from people like this. Peng Zhan nodded. Oh right, how did you get injured this time? I heard from Yao that it was revenge for your classmate? Meng Yao called him earlier, but Peng Zhan didn't ask because it wasn't something that could be explained in a few words. He only asked if Lin Yi was alright. After learning that Lin Yi was recovering, Peng Zhan came back first. He hadn't known Lin Yi for a long time, but he could tell that Lin Yi was a man with a sense of propriety. Judging from how he handled the bank attack, Guanghua's incident, and Ming Yao's kidnapping, Lin Yi was a man with a steady mind. Peng Zhan wasn't too worried since Lin Yi didn't go to the hospital and chose to heal on his own, which meant that he had confidence in himself. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was very vague about it, saying that Lin Yi was trying to avenge a female classmate. She didn't know that it was Lin Yi's girlfriend. I know. Shield Bro broke that Master Bing's leg out of anger because of his beauty. Yushu got really excited when the topic of violence came up. What a shame I didn't get to see Shield Bro go berserk with my own eyes. Master Bing? Peng Zhan, on the other hand, was taken aback as he looked at Lin Yi. The Master Bing Shu mentioned, is it Zhao Qibing? That's him. Lin Yi nodded. How did you piss him off? Peng Zhan couldn't help but smile bitterly. This Master Bing isn't simple. I heard that he's the illegitimate son of some powerful person. He's very powerful, even Sihua is his subordinate. Uncle Chu, don't worry. This matter won't involve you. If Zhao Qibing comes looking for you, just tell him to come looking for me. Lin Yi said straightforwardly. What are you talking about? How can I just sit back and do nothing when you're in trouble? Peng Zhan said angrily when he saw that Lin Yi misunderstood. Uncle Chu, you've misunderstood. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. What I mean is, if they come looking for me, I have the confidence to deal with them. If they come looking for you, wouldn't I have to deal with them myself? All right, but I won't just sit back and do nothing. Peng Zhan nodded. Evidently Lin Yi didn't want to continue this topic, so he didn't say anything else. After dinner, Lin Yi and Falbert went to clean up the tableware. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was called to the room by Peng Zhan. After all, the father and daughter hadn't seen each other for a while. There must be some secrets that needed to be said. Yao Yao, are you busy with your studies? Peng Zhan sat on the sofa and asked casually. It's all right, Daddy. You know that I'm not that kind of nerd. Studying with Shu isn't stressful at all. It's just that I've been doing a little more exercises lately. Meng Yao was extremely smart and so was Yushu. The two of them passed through the 12th grade without any stress. That's good. Although we can pay for it if you want to go to a university, it's different if you go there yourself. Peng Zhan nodded. Yeah, I know. I don't want people to look down on me because of my family, Meng Yao said proudly. From this, it could be seen that the miss was a good person. She might be a little proud, but she was different from the other rich kids. Some rich kids were afraid that people wouldn't know about their family's wealth and power, and that they couldn't get into a university. Not only were they not ashamed of it, they were even proud of it. They would show off their family's power to others whenever they had time. Right, how's Lin Yi? He's by your side going to school and living with you. Is he satisfied? Peng Zhan asked casually. Lin Yi. Meng Yao gritted her teeth at the mention of Lin Yi. Daddy, this person is too hateful. Hateful? How is he hateful? Peng Zhan paused. He's a womanizer. He's my follower, he should be by my side all the time, but he got himself a girlfriend in school, causing a huge uproar. Meng Yao said hatefully. This kind of person isn't suitable to be a follower. His private life is a mess. Right, he just went to avenge his girlfriend. This kind of follower who doesn't listen to orders is a heinous crime. That's hateful. Peng Zhan couldn't help but shake his head. It looks like this Lin Yi really is a hateful person. Yeah, Daddy, you think so too? Meng Yao couldn't help but be happy that her father was on her side. Yeah, you're right. Peng Zhan nodded and said solemnly, if that's the case, I'll fire him now. How can I let someone as despicable as him stay here without worry? I'll go right now. Yao Yao, wait for Daddy. With that, Peng Zhan stood up and walked towards the door. Chapter 600. For Shu's sake, no? Peng Zhan couldn't help but smile, but when he turned back, his expression turned into one of surprise. What's wrong with you again? Didn't you say that he's a sinner? How can you not fire a person like that? Because, that's right, that Lin Yi has a hard time finding a job, right? Maybe I'll just bear with it for a bit. Meng Yao found an excuse. Right, she pitied Lin Yi, so she didn't want to fire him. That's not a good idea, is it? I don't want my daughter to suffer. Peng Zhan said with a wave of his hand. Besides, there seems to be a lot of people looking for Lin Yi. It wasn't easy for me to hire him, so don't worry about him. I'll fire him and get you a new follower tomorrow. But that's not okay either. Meng Yao said, panicking. Not okay either? Then why? Peng Zhan looked at his daughter, confused. Because, that's right, this Lin Yi guy is a bit of a jerk, but Shu and I are pretty familiar with him now. Meng Yao finally thought of an excuse. Daddy, you know that I don't like strangers coming to my house. It's hard for me to accept a stranger. Besides, Lin Yi's clean, he wouldn't steal anything. I wouldn't be at ease if it were someone I don't know. Haha, Yao Yao, your worries aren't unreasonable. Peng Zhan said with a smile. But it's fine, I've already thought of a good candidate. Falbert has a junior who used to be a bodyguard, but his employer left the country and he doesn't have much to do. Faubert introduced him to me, so he's a reliable guy. No problem. I see. That's not good, is it? Meng Yao said instinctively. Why is it not good? Peng Zhan asked. Because. That's right, didn't I say that although I know this person well, I'm very repulsed by strangers. When Lin Yi first came, I couldn't get used to it for a while. What if I'm not used to the sudden change? It'll affect my studies. Meng Yao said. You don't have to worry about that. Aren't you familiar with Faubert? Let Faubert protect you and let his juniors protect me. Peng Zhan smiled. You should be familiar with Faubert, right? You won't reject it, right? He watched you grow up. Faubert. Meng Yao felt that Faubert was acceptable, but she didn't know why she didn't want Lin Yi to leave. I think Lin Yi is better. Why was it still him? Why was that? Didn't you say he was annoying? Peng Zhan was even more confused. Man, actually, because that Shu has a crush on Lin Yi. Shu would be sad if Lin Yi left. Meng Yao thought. She didn't want Lin Yi to leave because of that damn girl Yushu. It wasn't a secret that she had a crush on Lin Yi. What? Peng Zhan's eyes widened. He had expected some reasons, but he didn't think that Meng Yao would come up with this one. Shu had a crush on Lin Yi? Why was it Shu? Wasn't it Yao Yao? No one knew a daughter better than a father. Peng Zhan watched Meng Yao grow up, and he could see the changes in her and her attitude towards Lin Yi. His instincts told him that his daughter had fallen in love with Lin Yi, but he wasn't too sure. So he decided to talk to his daughter privately and see what she was thinking. Firing Lin Yi was just an excuse to test his daughter's feelings, but Meng Yao's reasons were getting more and more reasonable. In the end, it even involved Yushu. Peng Zhan was a little confused. Shu has a crush on Lin Yi? Doesn't Lin Yi have a girlfriend already? Peng Zhan asked. That. Yeah, that's why I say that Lin Yi is the annoying one. He has a girl as beautiful as Shu at home, but he still goes out and flirts with other girls. Meng Yao said, Dad, don't you think he's annoying? That's true. Peng Zhan couldn't help but find it funny. This was the reason why his daughter was scolding Lin Yi. That's why, for Shu's sake, I'll endure it. Don't fire him, Meng Yao said. But Lin Yi has a girlfriend already, what about Shu? Peng Zhan asked curiously. In fact, he wanted to see his daughter's attitude. Her? She's always thinking about being someone else's mistress, so it shouldn't be a big problem. Meng Yao said. Mistress. Peng Zhan shook his head. Really? I don't know, she's always acting like a lunatic, I don't know if it's real or not. Meng Yao shook her head. Dad, don't worry about this, let Shu handle it herself. Alright, I won't worry about it then. Peng Zhan smiled and stood up. Alright, it's late, I'll leave first. You guys rest early. Although it's a weekend tomorrow, don't stay up late. Okay. Meng Yao breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, she wouldn't fire Lin Yi. Although it was a weekend tomorrow, Peng Zhan still had work to do, so he left with Faubert first. Lin Yi also cleaned up the cutlery, and just when he was free, his phone rang. Lin Yi took out his phone and looked at it. It was Tang Yun. Hello, Tang Yun. Lin Yi picked up the phone. You're back at the hospital? Yeah, not long ago. Mom let me eat something and now she's with Dad, so I'm calling you. Tang Yun's voice was very gentle, like a wife missing her husband. Haha, I'll go see you tomorrow, the wound on your head should be almost healed. Lin Yi smiled. Okay. Tang Yun touched her forehead and it didn't hurt at all. It seemed like it was working. It's so late, why aren't you resting? What's the matter calling me? Lin Yi was a bit confused. In the past, Tang Yun wouldn't take the initiative to call him if there wasn't anything. Are you at Meng Yao's house? Tang Yun hesitated and asked. Yeah, I'm here. Lin Yi didn't hide and told the truth. Oh. Tang Yun actually knew that Lin Yi was at Meng Yao's house, but she couldn't help but want to confirm it. Chapter 601. Abnormal, yeah. I believe you. Tang Yun didn't feel good about it, but she chose to believe in Lin Yi. If Lin Yi really did have something going on with them, then there was no point in stopping him. If there wasn't anything going on, then what was she thinking about? I'll tell you the details when we meet tomorrow. It's not convenient to talk on the phone today. You should rest early? Lin Yi saw Yushu tiptoeing over as he spoke. Her footsteps were light, but how could she hide from Lin Yi's eyes and ears? Yeah, okay. Tang Yun replied obediently. Before she hung up, she gathered her courage and said, I love you. With that, Tang Yun hung up the phone embarrassed. Lin Yi paused. He smiled when he saw that the phone was already hung up. It was the first time Tang Yun said something like that, right? Yushu was a little disappointed. She saw that Lin Yi was talking on the phone, so she came over carefully to eavesdrop. She'd be living up to her title of Spy Shu 007, but Lin Yi didn't give her a chance. He hung up the phone quickly. Meng Yao had just sent Peng Zhan and Faubert off. She closed the door and came back to see Lin Yi hanging up the phone. Who are you calling? Meng Yao wasn't someone who liked to poke her nose into other people's business, but she didn't know why she asked. Tang Yun. Lin Yi answered straightforwardly. Oh, what did you guys talk about? Meng Yao asked casually. Lin Yi paused. The miss cared about what he said to Tang Yun? Don't misunderstand. Meng Yao blushed when she saw Lin Yi's expression. What I mean is, we're in a critical situation right now. There are people who want to do something to me, and there are people who want to do something to you. I just want to confirm if it's really Tang Yun on the phone. What if it's a bad guy pretending to be Tang Yun? Meng Yao couldn't even speak coherently in her panic. Lin Yi was even more stunned. Did the eldest miss say these words? Why did it sound like what Yushu said? Could it be that the two of them had been together for too long and were assimilated? However, he still said, she didn't say anything. She just said that she was in the hospital. Oh. Meng Yao listened to Lin Yi and didn't continue asking. If Tang Yun says anything suspicious in the future, you have to tell me in advance. Maybe there's some conspiracy behind it. For example, if Tang Yun wanted to have sex with you, don't agree. From what I can see, Tang Yun is a very pure girl. She can't do something like that. There must be a reason behind it. Meng Yao was shocked by her own words. What the hell was she talking about? It must be because he didn't sleep tonight and was too sleepy, so he started saying some strange things. Lin Yi was a little speechless, but he still nodded. The people tonight were not normal. Yao Wang was indeed Yao Wang. Qibing's legs were quickly reconnected, and the medicine was applied as well. As for his face, Dr. Kang's golden wound medicine was applied, so Yao Wang didn't have to worry about it. Uncle Zhu's situation wasn't so good. Even Yao Wang couldn't help but shake his head after seeing it. Yao bro, how is it? Uncle Zhu could tell that Yao Wang was in a difficult position. Zhu bro, to tell you the truth, the situation isn't good. Yao Wang sighed. You used your full strength to fight with that person. And the other person used his full strength too. That person wanted to continue attacking Master Bing, so I had no choice but to use my full strength. Uncle Zhu smiled bitterly. Yao bro, just try your best. It doesn't matter if you can recover to your peak. It's not a problem for you to stay alive, but as for recovering your strength, it depends on whether the head is willing to use treasures to nourish you. Yao Wang said. If the elixirs keep up, I should be able to recover in half a year or so. But it'll be hard for me to break through again in this lifetime, unless there's some sort of miracle. I don't think about breaking through. It's good enough that I can recover. But why would the head use so many treasures for me? Uncle Zhu didn't think too much about it. He was sent to the common world to follow Master Bing because he had no hope of breaking through. Brother Zhu, you don't have to worry. You got injured because of Master Bing. The head of the house won't mistreat you. Yao Wang said. Sihua has already asked the head of the house. I believe there will be news soon. Indeed, Zhao Guangyin had sent news that Yao Wang could use some of the elixirs in the house to save Uncle Zhu. He did this because Uncle Zhu had saved Qibing's life at a critical moment. If he mistreated Uncle Zhu, who would dare to work for him in the future? Wouldn't that be disappointing? So, Zhao Guangyin naturally wouldn't do something as stupid as killing the donkey when it was no longer of use. The other news was for Zhao Qibing. Sihua ran into Zhao Qibing's room excitedly. Master Bing, good news? Oh? What good news? Zhao Qibing didn't feel much pain anymore. His mind was filled with thoughts of revenge against Lin Yi. He didn't dare to act recklessly since there was no news from his father. Boss, we found out that Lin Yi has nothing to do with any of the hidden houses. After the house sent out the wanted order, no one responded. This means that Lin Yi doesn't belong to any of the hidden houses. Sihua was still used to calling Zhao Guangyin boss instead of head of the house. This was because Sihua was one of House Zhao's business representatives in the common world. He was responsible for providing wealth to House Zhao. Because of his business, Sihua was used to calling Zhao Guangyin boss. Is that so? That's great. Since he doesn't come from any of the hidden houses, there's no pressure to deal with him. Zhao Qibing laughed happily. Finally, we can kill him. Master Bing, don't be too happy yet. Boss said that although he doesn't belong to any of the hidden houses, we shouldn't do anything to him. We should at least investigate his background. Sihua said. For example, if he's alone, if he has other disciples from the same sect or something like that. We can avoid unnecessary trouble if we kill Lin Yi. Chapter 602. Sihua's probing. Yes, Master Bing, I'll go ask Pingzhan about Lin Yi's background in a bit, Sihua said quickly. Hurry up, if Pingzhan doesn't listen, give him a beating. We have to figure out Lin Yi's background as soon as possible, I can't wait to kill him. Qibing urged. Don't worry, Master Bing, I know what to do. Sihua nodded as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Also, what happened to my Qibing skyscraper? Qibing remembered the skyscraper that Lin Yi had flattened, and he couldn't help but feel humiliated. He had just completed his skyscraper and now it was flattened by Lin Yi. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Not only did he lose face in front of so many rich kids, but it also affected the progress of Qibing real estate. They didn't even have an office space, so how could they build a building? Although the demolition work wasn't delayed, there wasn't a single worker when it came to building a building. How could they develop it? The Qibing skyscraper is completely destroyed, there's no hope of repairing it. Sihua complained. This skyscraper cost him and Gubang a lot of money, and now it was flattened just as it was completed. This was a huge loss. Destroyed? Can't you build a new one? Now, immediately. Build me a new skyscraper. I want to see a brand new Qibing skyscraper before I leave the ward. Qibing was panicking. Without the skyscraper, it would be a huge loss of face. Master Bing, how can a skyscraper be built that quickly? Isn't this a joke? A skyscraper is built from the ground and Rome isn't built in a day. Sihua smiled awkwardly. Didn't I give you some time? I'll be able to leave the house in a wheelchair in another 10 or 20 days, you have to build me a skyscraper. Qibing gave the mission. Master Bing, how can I build a skyscraper in 10 or 20 days? Isn't this making things difficult for me? Sihua smiled bitterly. 10 or 20 days is more than enough. I saw a video on the internet where a skyscraper was built in a few days. If others can do it, why can't you? Are you trying to brush me off? Zhao Qibing glared at him and barked. I'll give it a try then. Sihua had no choice but to bite the bullet and ask around to see if he could find the video and hire a skilled construction team to build the skyscraper. Go do it. Qibing waved his hand impatiently, sending Sihua away. Sihua walked out of the floating cloud, a little depressed. He wasn't the owner of the bar anymore and everyone here had the final say. Master Bing was the owner's son, so of course he was more powerful than Sihua. However, he couldn't afford to offend Uncle Zhu and the Medicine King. Now he had become an errand boy. Sihua bro, what's wrong? Su Jiaoneng asked as he saw Sihua walk out with a solemn face. Stop asking. Let's go to Pingzhan Industries with me. Sihua decided to solve Lin Yi's problem first. This was a little easier than building the skyscraper. Even if the skyscraper couldn't be completed on time, he would at least be able to answer to Master Bing. Alright. Su Jiaoneng didn't ask much and got in the car with Sihua, heading to Pingzhan Industries. Pingzhan was a little surprised by Sihua's arrival, but he didn't have too many questions. After all, he had heard from Lin Yi last night that the person Lin Yi provoked was Zhao Qibing, so Sihua was Zhao Qibing's underling. It wasn't strange for him to be here. Boss Li, may I know what brings you here? Pingzhan didn't bother with pleasantries. After all, they didn't have any business dealings and Gubang's scheme against him was planned by Sihua. So, Pingzhan didn't even need to pretend to be polite to Sihua. Mr. Chu, there's no need to say more about what I do. We don't have a good relationship, but that's fine, Sihua said faintly. We'll let bygones be bygones for now. Gubang has failed and I have no intentions of dealing with you. Then why are you here, Boss Li? Pingzhan didn't find it strange that Sihua was talking about his doings without hesitation. Everyone knew what was going on. Let's not beat around the bush. Mr. Chu, you hired a bodyguard named Lin Yi? Sihua wanted to complete Qibing's task as soon as possible, so he didn't waste time talking to Pingzhan. He came up with a strong stance. As far as Sihua was concerned, he wasn't Lin Yi's opponent, but he was a big shot in Songshan. Pingzhan was just a businessman after all, and there was no way he could be compared to someone like Sihua who was tainted with the underworld. That's right. Is there a problem? Pingzhan frowned. As expected, Sihua was here for Lin Yi. I do have something I need to trouble you with, Mr. Chu. I'm sure you've heard about my Master Bing being injured, right? Sihua asked faintly. What are you trying to say? Pingzhan asked back. Master Bing doesn't have any masters by his side. I wonder if you're willing to part with Lin Yi, Mr. Chu? Sihua was using a bit of a trick this time. He was testing if Lin Yi was injured, how serious his injuries were, and if his kung fu was still intact. Oh, I have a contract with Mr. Lin Yi, Pingzhan said flatly. I see. Sihua cursed Pingzhan for being a sly old fox. He thought that if Lin Yi was injured, Peng Zhan would say that Lin Yi wasn't fit to protect others anymore, or if Lin Yi lost his kung fu, Peng Zhan would say that Lin Yi couldn't protect others anymore. But Peng Zhan was talking about the contract. What did that mean? Was it because Lin Yi still had kung fu and Peng Zhan wasn't willing to let him go? Or was it because of the contract that Peng Zhan didn't fire Lin Yi because of Lin Yi's kung fu? There was no tone to his words and Sihua couldn't tell what Peng Zhan was trying to say. Chapter 603. Stalked again? Ha, I'm afraid I won't be able to. Peng Zhan said faintly. Is there anything else, Boss Li? Peng Zhan hadn't said anything, and his words had been conveying his rejection of Sihua, as well as the fact that he wanted to keep his distance from Sihua. But even a wise man could make a mistake. He never would have thought that Sihua would be able to glean some information from his rejection. Peng Zhan had said that he wouldn't be able to invite him, not that he wouldn't be able to invite him. This meant that Lin Yi was probably alone now, and he didn't have anyone from the same sect. If that was the case, then there wouldn't be any worries when dealing with Lin Yi. Sihua was overjoyed. Peng Zhan, you old fox. You didn't see this coming, did you? I'm not here to poach you, nor am I here to hire another bodyguard for Master Bing. I'm here to get some information. Sihua didn't stay any longer after getting the answer he wanted. He left immediately and Peng Zhan didn't bother sending him off either. He smiled coldly as he watched Sihua walk out of the office. Sihua hated Peng Zhan. In fact, he would have gone after Peng Zhan even if this hadn't happened. He just didn't have the time yet. It'd be a great achievement if House Chu's wealth fell into House Zhao's hands. Although the so-called hidden aristocratic families were mysterious ancient martial arts families with absolute masters, their wealth was actually not as great as those ordinary aristocratic families. This was because they pursued different things. The hidden aristocratic families pursued the pinnacle of martial arts, while those aristocratic families pursued power and money. The two were fundamentally different, but hidden noble houses had a strong reputation as well. Not only did they have a lot of masters but they also had a lot of medical experts. This was what the noble houses yearned for. Although it wasn't the ancient times where firearms existed, guns could still be a threat to normal people. But for real masters, masters above the golden class, they could easily dodge bullets and kill people before they could even open fire. Hence, guns were nothing to an expert. Of course, cannons, rockets, and armored cars were a different story. Even the mafia houses wouldn't be able to get their hands on these things, let alone normal noble houses. Hidden houses, on the other hand, needed money in order to maintain their development. This was also why Sihua was making money outside. Sihua had been drooling over Peng Zhan Industries for a long time even without Master Bing. After leaving Peng Zhan Industries, Sihua gave Master Bing a call and told him the good news. As for how to deal with Lin Yi, he'd have to discuss it with Uncle Zhu and Yao Wang. He wasn't in a rush and it was enough as long as he knew that Lin Yi didn't have any background or support. Sihua felt a lot more relaxed now that he was done with this matter. He immediately went to contact the people who were building the skyscraper. It wasn't possible to build the skyscraper in a few days, but 20 days of hard work should be enough to complete it. However, the wages were doubled. The price of building a house at night was naturally different from building a house during the day. But Sihua didn't have a choice. Master Bing had given him a death order, and if he didn't carry it out, he might anger Master Bing. Sihua had no choice but to use the money he was planning to give to Guanyin. It was for Guanyin's son anyway, and Guanyin wouldn't say anything even if he knew about it. Today Lin Yi wanted to visit Tang Yun at the hospital, but he was called up by Meng Yao and Yushu early in the morning. Lin Yi, accompany us to the bookstore to buy some revision materials today. Meng Yao said. Ugh. Lin Yi suspected that the miss heard that he was going to visit Tang Yun at the hospital yesterday. Otherwise, why would she suddenly want to buy revision materials? One had to know that Meng Yao and Yushu spent most of their time at home during the weekends. What, do you need something? Meng Yao really didn't want to make things difficult for Lin Yi. Her father's words yesterday made Meng Yao even more determined to get a good result. However, under the exam-oriented education system, it was impossible to get a good result without revision materials. No matter how smart you were, you couldn't avoid the brain-twisting questions. Only practice makes perfect and you could deal with all kinds of changes. It's nothing. Lin Yi could only accompany the miss to the bookstore. Then why don't you hurry up and pack? Meng Yao's tone and attitude had returned to normal. She didn't have the abnormal emotions from yesterday. This made Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had thought too much. The miss was still the miss from before. After Lin Yi packed up, he left with Meng Yao and Yushu. On the way, he sent a text to Tang Yun, telling her that he would visit her at the hospital in the afternoon. Tang Yun didn't think much after receiving the text. It was already midnight when they returned to the hospital yesterday. It was only 10 in the morning now and Tang Yun hadn't woken up yet. She thought that Lin Yi would need to sleep a little longer. Which bookstore? Lin Yi drove the car out of the villa area and asked the miss in the back seat. Let's go to Shuahai bookstore? The one near the school. Meng Yao thought about it and said. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, but his eyes fell on the rearview mirror of the car. There was a black MPV following them after they left the district. Lin Yi had seen this MPV before. Who else could it be if it wasn't Sihua's? He didn't expect that Sihua, who had been depressed for a long time, would start to play surveillance again. Didn't he know that his car had been exposed once? In fact, Sihua didn't want to hide from Lin Yi. He sent people to the villa area just to see how Lin Yi was doing. Yuchu dialed Sihua's number as he sat in the black MPV. Sihua bro, it's me Yuchu. Yuchu said hurriedly. I saw Lin Yi. Sihua had just finished his business. He hired a construction team to redesign the damaged building, and they were ready to start tomorrow. Sihua, on the other hand, returned to the floating cloud bar and received a call from Yuchu the moment he entered. He'd sent Yuchu to keep an eye on Lin Yi. He didn't know how Lin Yi was doing right now, and Sihua couldn't get anything out of Pengzhan. So he sent Yuchu out to keep an eye on Lin Yi's villa. Where did you see him? How's Lin Yi? Sihua asked. Chapter 604. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Wadash. Sihua was so shocked he almost threw the phone away. What? What did you say? Lin Yi's driving? Out with Meng Yao and the others? Yeah, what's wrong with that? Yuchu was just a small fry, and he didn't know much about these secretive things. He knew that Lin Yi had crippled Master Bing's legs, but he didn't know much about Lin Yi's strength or Uncle Zhu's. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Lin Yi's driving? Sihua asked in disbelief. Nope, I even took a picture with my phone when they came out. I'll send it to you later? Yuchu said with certainty. He didn't know why Sihua was so suspicious. Lin Yi's like a normal person? There's nothing wrong with him? Sihua asked, unwilling to give up. Yeah, he's driving. What's wrong with that? Yuchu replied. Then send me the picture. Sihua frowned. This was strange. According to Uncle Zhu and Yao, shouldn't Lin Yi be lying on the bed about to die? How was he still able to go out with Meng Yao and Yushu? He could even drive? Okay, should I continue to follow them? Zhang Yuzhou asked. You don't have to. You can leave now. Sihua only wanted to check on Lin Yi's condition. He wasn't interested in what Lin Yi was doing at all. All right. I'll be leaving then. Yuchu replied. He sent Lin Yi's picture to Sihua and told the driver to stop following the car. And so, just when Lin Yi was wondering why Sihua had sent someone to follow him and Lin Yi was about to shake them off, the car behind him disappeared after a turn. Lin Yi shook his head. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with them since they weren't following them anymore. Sihua wouldn't be able to do much anyway. Sihua received a picture from Zhang Yuzhou right after he hung up. It was a picture of Lin Yi walking out of the villa with Meng Yao and Yushu as if nothing had happened, and the three of them were in the car. The last few pictures were a little blurry, evidently taken when Zhang Yuzhou was following Lin Yi in the car. Only the rear of Meng Yao's Audi S5 could be seen clearly. Sihua didn't dare to delay and hurriedly ran into the back of the bar. Qibing was playing with his phone while Yao Wang and Uncle Zhu were discussing something in a low voice. Master Bing, Uncle Zhu, Mr. Yao, I have big news. Sihua said in a panic. Big news? What big news? Master Bing put his phone aside when he saw Sihua. He was reading a web novel called How to Pick Up Girls, imagining himself becoming the main character in the novel and dominating the world. Lin Yi doesn't seem to be injured. According to my men, he's out with Meng Yao and Yushu right now. Lin Yi is driving, he's no different from a normal person. Sihua said. Impossible. Qibing didn't say anything, but Uncle Zhu spoke first. I exchanged a palm strike with him, I know what's going on between us. How can he be fine? Uncle Zhu, I don't think it's possible either, but this is the picture my men just sent me. Take a look. Sihua smiled bitterly and passed the phone to Uncle Zhu. Uncle Zhu took the phone and looked at it. Yao Wang, who was at the side, followed. This. Uncle Zhu's eyes widened as he looked at the image on the phone, as if he had just seen a ghost. Was this taken just now? How is that possible? With such a heavy injury, I don't even know if I can stand up and walk. Even without the elixir and Yao Bro's care, I might not even be able to talk. How can this Lin Yi leave the house? Yao Wang's face was also filled with disbelief. He felt that the photo on the phone was too unbelievable. It can't be, right? Could it be that Lin Yi isn't injured at all? Is he not a mystic class master? Is he a higher class master? That's impossible. Uncle Zhu shook his head. When we exchanged palms, I could clearly feel his strength. He's at the early phase of the mystic class. Besides, if he was stronger, he wouldn't have ignored my warning and attacked Master Bing directly. Since he chose to retreat, it means that he didn't have the confidence to fight me head-on. Besides, it's only when our strengths are on par that I can survive. If the opponent's strength was too high, I wouldn't even be here talking right now. I would have died a long time ago. But the fact is that Linny really came out. Let's not talk about what's possible or not, it's already possible. Sihua said helplessly. Uncle Zhu, Mr. Yaowang, if Linny was injured he wouldn't be able to get up, right? That's not for sure. Yaowang shook his head. There's only one possibility, he lost his strength so he's back to normal. Lost his strength? Sihua paused, not understanding what Yaowang meant. Yes, he lost his strength. Yaowang nodded. When a master is injured to the point of death, there are two ways to save his life. The first is to use a large amount of rare and precious elixirs to nourish himself. Of course, you also need a master who knows how to heal with pure energy. Otherwise, the pure energy in the world wouldn't be enough to heal the injury. The second way is if you don't meet the requirements of the first method, you can only lose your strength in order to save your life. So you're saying that after you save your life, your strength will be gone? Sihua asked, surprised. You could say that. Yaowang nodded. Could it be that Linny lost his strength? Sihua mumbled to himself. The first method has too many requirements. It needs a treasure of heaven and earth, as well as a master with medical expertise. Linny probably won't be able to find all of these things. It's possible that he'd even dispelled his arts to save his life. In the first method, you don't have to meet these two requirements at the same time. It's just that if you have both, you'll be able to recover faster. If you lack one, you'll be able to recover, but at a slower rate. Yaowang said with a wave of his hand. I don't think Lin Yi has these two requirements, so it's possible that he chose to lose his strength. Sihua said. Chapter 605. Yaowang's analysis, of course not. Uncle Zhu smiled bitterly. If it were me, I'd rather die than lose my strength. Only cultivators like us know how hard it is to cultivate. Strength is built up bit by bit, and losing it to a normal person is worse than dying. Even if there's a sliver of hope, you can't lose your strength. You're right. Yaowang nodded. That's why, if Lin Yi isn't an idiot, he wouldn't lose his strength. Or at least he wouldn't lose it unless he had no other choice. Or maybe he had no other choice. Sihua frowned. Right, could it be that he's recovered his strength? Recovered his strength. Yaowang and Uncle Zhu both took in a cold breath. After all, Sihua's assumption was far too bold. It wasn't impossible, but it was too idealistic. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Sihua asked, curious at the exaggerated expressions on Yaowang and Uncle Zhu's faces. The hypothesis you're suggesting is possible, Yaowang said. But that's only in an ideal situation. First, if he's in a blessed place with thick pure energy, it's not impossible for him to recover his strength in a day. As long as there's enough pure energy to absorb, recovering his strength wouldn't be a problem. Of course, I don't know if there's such a place on Earth, at least I've never heard of it. That sounds like a fairyland from a TV show. It doesn't seem to exist anymore? Sihua shook his head. Other than that? Other than that, the second method is to have a master from the same sect imbue Lin Yi's body with his own qi, and that's how he can recover quickly. However, this method had its flaws. First of all, it had to be an expert from the same sect. Because different sects had different cultivation methods, the true qi in their bodies was also different. If it was forced, it would only result in death. Secondly, while it could save someone, it wouldn't be a good thing for the master. Giving away the pure energy he'd worked so hard for would cause his strength to plummet, and he might even lose a level. I don't think even blood brothers or father and son would use this method. Because the higher the level, the harder it was to cultivate. In order to save a mystic class master's life, the rescuer must be at least an earth class master. But if he gave his true qi to the rescuer, then the rescuer might also drop to mystic class. If he wanted to ascend to earth class again, he would need a lot of hard work. No one would do such a thing. Medicine King said. I see. Sihua nodded. So that means that Lin Yi really did lose his strength? Or was there really no hope for him to recover? I've heard from Pengzhan that Lin Yi doesn't have any friends and that he's alone. There's no one to save him and he doesn't have any treasures to help him. If he doesn't disperse his strength, he'll die. That's hard to say. Yaowang shook his head. In short, I think this matter is very strange. Yeah. This Pengzhan really doesn't know what's good for him. I've been beating around the bush for a long time, but I can't get anything out of him. Sihua said angrily. Alright, stop studying Linny. What's the point of studying him? Whether or not he recovers, I'll deal with him. Master Bing was getting impatient. Since he doesn't have anyone to back him up, I'll make sure he dies in front of me. And this Pengzhan, does it mean that he's going to protect Linny no matter what? I wasn't planning to deal with him immediately, but since he doesn't know what's good for him, then I'll deal with him as well. That's true. Sihua nodded after hearing Master Bing's words. Mr. Yao, Uncle Zhu, how do we deal with Linny? Lil, Brother Zhu's condition won't be able to recover within a year and a half, so don't worry about him. Yao Wang said. But even if Lil, Brother Zhu recovers, I don't recommend fighting Linny head-on. Oh? Yao Wang, aren't you a mystic as well? You're not afraid of Linny, are you? You and Uncle Zhu working together can't take down Linny? Qibin asked. Master Bing, I'm a mystic, yes, but my mystic class is a bit special. Yao Wang smiled bitterly. Although I'm a mystic as well, I used medicine to increase my strength. It's different from a master who uses pure qi from heaven and earth to increase his strength. Moreover, the mental cultivation method that I'm cultivating is of a supplementary nature. Its main purpose is to save people and not attack. So that's how it is. Master Bing nodded, but he felt wronged. If that's the case, then how do we deal with Linny? Can't we do anything to him now that he's a normal person? That's not true. No one can be sure if Linny is a normal person or not. What if he has an ancient miracle medicine? Eating one would be equivalent to half a year's worth of recovery. Who knows, he might even recover his strength. Yao Wang shook his head. There's such a miracle medicine? Qibin's eyes widened. The world is big, nothing is too strange. Yao Wang said. Although it sounds a bit scary, I've read about similar medicines in some ancient books. They're called the Great Recovery Pill and the Minor Recovery Pill. The Great Recovery Pill allows an injured person to recover to their peak in an instant, and the Minor Recovery Pill allows the injury to heal quickly, but the strength has to be recovered bit by bit. Of course, this miracle medicine is only a legend. It's hard to say whether or not it exists. But what if Linny has it? If we fight him head-on, we'll be at a disadvantage. Makes sense. Sihua nodded. Fuck, then wouldn't we be holding back? Qibin was very unhappy after hearing Yao Wang's analysis. Wasn't this toying with them? Why don't we deal with Pengzhan first? Sihua suddenly had an idea. Since we can't deal with Lin Yi directly, why don't we start with Pengzhan? We can also test Lin Yi's strength this way. If Lin Yi really recovers, he'll definitely jump out. If Lin Yi is a normal person, he won't be able to get involved. That's right. Qibin was energized. That's right, we can deal with Pengzhan first. Let's think about how to deal with him. Chapter 606. Chapter 606, Ruin his reputation. That's right, you guys take a break first. Sihua, what do you think we should do next? Qibin asked. Sihua fell into deep thought. We should choose to strike Pengzhan's weakest point, where it's the easiest to hit him. That way we'll be able to quickly test out Pengzhan's bottom line, and see if Lin Yi has recovered his strength. Fuck, it'd be great if we could deal with both Pengzhan and Lin Yi at the same time. I can't take it anymore. Qibin's temper had been pretty bad these days. After all, lying in bed with a broken leg was a very uncomfortable thing to do. Pengzhan Industries has a lot of businesses. We should target the weakest one, the one that's the easiest to deal with. Sihua said in a deep voice. Master Bing didn't disturb him. After all, Qibin wasn't as familiar with Pengzhan Industries as Sihua was. He didn't even know what kind of businesses Pengzhan Industries had. He could only wait for Sihua to come up with a plan. Su Jiaonong, come in. Sihua couldn't think of anything by himself, so he called Su Jiaonong in. But Su Jiaonong wasn't a very skillful man. He wasn't even as good as Sihua when it came to scheming. The two discussed for a long time but couldn't come up with a plan. It pissed Qibin off. You two pieces of trash. You can't even do something this simple. Keep thinking, I don't believe that we can't deal with one Pengzhan. Master Bing, please calm down. Jiaonong said carefully. Sihua bro, why don't we call Jin Gubang and Zhong Fabai over? Jin Gubang used to work for Pengzhan Industries, and he knows them far better than we do. Plus, Zhong Fabai seems to be quite a devious. There's strength in numbers. What do you think, Master Bing? Alright, Sihua, hurry up and call Jin Gubang and Fabai. Tell them to come over. Master Bing agreed without hesitation. He didn't want to wait any longer. He wanted to take revenge on Lin Yi. Jin Gubang and Zhong Fabai heard that Master Bing wanted to see them, so they rushed over immediately. They knew that Lin Yi had injured Uncle Zhu and crippled Master Bing's leg, but they didn't think that Lin Yi could live for long. Who was Master Bing? Lin Yi actually broke his opposite leg. Why would Master Bing let him off? So when Sihua told them about Master Bing's plan to deal with Lin Yi and Pengzhan Industries, they knew that their guess was correct. I'm good at dealing with Pengzhan, Gubang said. If we're talking about something that can attract the attention of the media and ruin Pengzhan Industries' reputation, we can start with the schools. School? Fourth school? Sihua paused. That's right, it's the school. Gubang said, nowadays if something happens to the students in the school, it'll be a big deal. The media won't stop until they're dead, and the public's opinion will be one-sided. They'll say that Pengzhan is a black-hearted businessman who dared to target the students. Even if they want to salvage the situation, it'll depend on what it is. What we need to do is create an accident that they can't salvage, and we'll be able to achieve our goal. That's right. Sihua's eyes lit up. That's right, if something were to happen to Pengzhan's school, the parents wouldn't just let it go. It'd be a headache. But what could cause a school to go wrong? Continue. What should we do? Qibing nodded approvingly. It seemed that he didn't take Gubang in for nothing. If we cause a school to go wrong, naturally we'll cause problems for the students, Gubang said. For example, if a building collapses and kills a few students, or if a gang goes to the school and kills a few students, or if there's a teacher who's a monster, hitting or even molesting the students, etc., these are all things that can destroy a school's reputation in no time. But what you're saying isn't very realistic. Qibing frowned. A building collapses? Do you dare be like Lin Yi and destroy a building? If it's a gang, do you want our people to do it? Wouldn't we be dragged into this? As for the monster teacher, don't even think about it. It's basically impossible. No matter how much money you give them, they won't risk their lives to commit crimes. Gubang laughed dryly, a little embarrassed. I'm just giving examples. Let's continue our discussion. Master Bing, I wonder if this Mr. Yao is an expert in poison as well as saving lives? Fabai, who'd been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. Poison? Of course, Yao is an expert in all kinds of pharmacology. Poison is a piece of cake for him. Qibing nodded. Master Bing, why don't we poison them? If a student gets food poisoning, it won't be a small matter. Fabai said, food poisoning. This can be attributed to the school's poor supervision, or it can be twisted to say that Pengzhan Industries is too evil. They sold expired junk food to the students and caused the students to be poisoned. If they're not careful, they might even poison Lin Yi or Meng Yao to death. That would be killing two birds with one stone. Brilliant. How wonderful. Old Zhong, you're not bad at all. Zhao Qibing listened to Fabai's idea and praised it. That's a good idea, let's do it. Yao, make a poison as soon as possible and poison the cafeteria of 4th High. Poison is easy, but who's going to do it? Moreover, if he poisoned it, would it be discovered by others? That's the key. Yao was naturally an expert in poison, but that wasn't what he was concerned about. That's a problem. Right, old Zhong, isn't your son in 4th High? Why don't you let him do it? Qibing glanced at Fabai and said. Fabai was taken aback and jumped in fright. How could he let his son do something like this? If this was exposed, he'd have to go to jail. He only had one son and he was missing a kidney. How could he let him take the risk? He quickly said, Master Bing, that's not a good idea. Let my son do this. What, you're not willing? Master Bing frowned. Are you afraid that I won't give you any benefits?